Welcome to another episode of Rise to Liberty. So today is actually quite the special day. First, I do have to apologize for not being able to make the Monday show or the Wednesday show, but we are doing a Thursday show, and it's even more special because today is my birthday. So happy birthday to me. Um, First and foremost, I kind of just want to jump right out of the gate and just talk about some of this Jeffrey Epstein stuff. Um, I kind of wanted some of this to digest a little bit because holy hell, what the hell is even what the hell is going on with a lot of this? I don't even know what to honestly say. Um, I mean, unless you've been literally living under a rock, have had no internet access for the past couple of weeks now, um, quote unquote, the files finally dropped. So, like I said, I'm not even sure exactly what to say about all of it. Um, I don't know. I mean, what's your guys' opinion? Mine, as of right now, um, it's good. First of all, I think a lot of this stuff coming out is actually good. That it actually is coming out. Um, on the other hand, I think a lot of this is also I think a lot of this is also kind of like a double play. They are not going to release this stuff um, without a reason. I do believe that some of this is being released on purpose as a way to. It's a continuation of the demoralization. Um, and I think that part of this is really meant to it's really meant to like just throw all of this in our faces. um hey, thank you so much, Wes. um thank you so much. I think a lot of this is to throw it in our faces, like a whole lot of what are you going to do about it, you know. And in fact, I even mentioned I haven't even checked to see any of my notifications on X the past couple of days. But let's see here. So I even made one of the last tweets I made was yeah, that's actually not that all that surprising, but like, have you seen the files? Oh my god, have you seen what's coming out? It's like, what exactly are you going to do about it? And I said that for a couple of reasons. For one, it's like, exactly what are we going to do about it? What can we do? Um, it's I'm not even like I said, I'm just kind of tongue tied because it's like all of this stuff has come out. Now, granted, some of the things that have come out are not actually all that damning. At least the stuff that's getting attention is what I mean by that. Some of the stuff is literally just like FBI reports. Anytime somebody calls in to the FBI to report something, like a report has to be made. Some of these things, who knows? But there is some really damning evidence of the really terrible things that Jeffrey Epstein, his and his friends were getting into. So, first and foremost, regarding all of it, to any of the naysayers, and The people I'm specifically thinking of, there's one person I'm specifically thinking of, and that's John Leesley. People like him and him himself. Uh, I told you so. I fucking told you so. These things are beyond real. And denying these things, in my opinion, okay, it's one thing to turn around and say, okay, well, they I don't want them to exist, or at one point to believe that they don't exist, right? That's one thing. The other thing is, once there is more than enough evidence that they do exist and you turn around and still deny it, I think that makes you just as bad as the people committing these crimes to begin with. So, yeah, like I said, where are you guys at on all of the Epstein stuff? I mean, it's kind of just the most insane, the absolute insane, like, revelation that any of this has come out. There were points of Epstein talking with some sort of biologist, mentioning trans ideology and how they were going to spread it around, intentionally to harm children. There was discussions of all sorts of diseases being spread around by really well-known people. Discussions of pizza. The mentions of pizza are through the roof. I can't remember exactly what somebody said. There was something like over 500 or 600 mentions of pizza throughout the files themselves. It's just wild. It's just wild. As a parapolitical researcher, as a conspiracy theorist, whatever you want to call it, it's like I've always known these things to be true. This is why I do my show. This is why I'm talking to all of you. But it's so shocking to see it like in black and white, and to see, like, when you're looking at these documents and the documents say, the Justice Department.gov or justice.gov, I feel so vindicated. It's honestly amazing. It's honestly amazing. And yeah, blessings from London. Good to see you, Finn. And yeah, the real drops are yet to come. Buckle up. We got front row seats. Exactly. And that's funny. I've been hearing that from a lot of people that, the worst is yet to come. It reminds me of that meme, the guy in the gas mask that says, if you think things are bad, or like, hey friend, I know things are looking bad, but they're going to get worse. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. Anyways, so in the coming weeks, there's definitely going to be more discussions of the Epstein stuff, just because, I mean, this is such a huge story. It's not going away. Now, I think it's going to be a good time coming up within the next couple of weeks to start really diving back into the basics of propaganda. And so I am going to be doing some pre-recorded shows. Sorry if you guys can hear that in the background. It sounds like some more transport planes coming into the local Air Force base. But we're going to be diving into the basics of propaganda. It's always great to touch basics, get back to the roots of everything, and just be reminded of some fundamentals. Also, there might be some new people coming to the channel, and I definitely want to make sure that they are going to be able to understand some of these things that we're facing. Also, not everyone understands certain basics of propaganda or psychological operations, these sorts of things. And so it seems appropriate to do that. So look out for those shows. They will be coming, especially as the Epstein stuff keeps coming out. We are going to be touching on that more and more. So, hail to everyone. Hello, y'all. Hello, hello. Um, Mainstream media reporting on it, then it probably isn't going to be as big as it should. That's true. That is true. And also, is the alt media reporting on it? Because if so, then there's probably some bullshit to it. Um, because let's be honest, the alt media, your Tim Pools, your Sean Ryans, these sort of people, your Candace Owens, these people are just an extension of mainstream media. So let's just be flat out honest about that. And that's not to say that we can't listen to anything they say. It's just we got to keep things in perspective. It's always a good idea just to keep things in perspective and to understand who's saying what, and where they are coming from. So yes, thank you. 90% of alt media are sellouts, and that is conservative. Right, right. I mean, here's the thing is like if somebody has that much traffic coming to them, I mean, odds are they're being floated. I mean, there's no way that those sorts of numbers, I mean, millions of views, you don't get millions of views on any of these platforms, and have it be organic is the word I'm looking for. It just I don't know what to say. Like you do have the occasional one-off video from somebody that gets pushed that far, but it's like anyone who is worth listening to is suppressed or has smaller audiences. That's just how it is. That's why I like where I'm at right now. Not to say that I don't want the channel to grow, because I certainly do. But if it takes 10 years to get up to some of these locations, with thousands and tens of thousands of views, it's like I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I would much rather organically grow something instead of being pushed by the invisible hand, so to speak. Heavy Metal Rehab says, I trust like 3 channels on YouTube, this being one of them, and Dana too, and the prof. Yeah, totally. I get you on that. Oh, yep. Yeah. And we can't forget other JJ. Yep. Yeah. There's definitely a few channels I trust, but they are definitely the smaller channels. And honestly, without saying too much, just knowing some stuff about behind the scenes about some of the parapolitical people and stuff. I'm not going to name names, but there's even a couple of them that I don't trust. So suffer little children and forbid them not to come unto me, for of such is the kingdom of heaven. They're God killers. They believe if they can destroy the innocence of children, they can kill God. Exactly. That is exactly it. You have hit the nail on the head. And that is exactly why they target children. Because it is the most offensive crime to God. And I mean, it makes sense. It's absolutely the most horrific crime. I mean, in my opinion, I do believe that obviously the law kind of disagrees with it. I think crimes against children in particular are actually much worse than even murder, only because, I mean, the children have to live with it, and because of the implication of why it typically happens. Um, so yeah, you totally hit the nail on the head with that. So Epstein equals Rothschild flunky, which would be powerful. Yeah. So, okay, first of all, I don't even think Epstein is his real identity. I think it's a made up identity. I definitely, I mean, that's what we're going to call him. That's the identity he did go by. Um, but I'm not even convinced that that's who he is. I'm definitely not convinced that he's dead. I definitely am not convinced that he killed himself by any means. Um, and I don't know, man. He did mention Rothschild, which is crazy. And I mean, granted, he was meeting with like the Pope, archdioceses all around the world, uh, met with the Dalai Lama. I mean, he was meeting with the most powerful people in the world. And it's just so crazy. Like I said, I knew all of this and I've known all of this for decades, right? Like this isn't new, but being being on this side of things and having it confirmed, like I said, it feels good because it's like, yes, I told you. I wasn't crazy. I told you so. And I don't know if this is good or not, but saying I told you so is the most satisfying thing to me in the world. So, like I said, I don't know if that's good psychologically to think that way or to have that, but yeah, it most definitely is one of the most satisfying things to me is to say I told you so. Um, let's see. On 4chan about 4 a.m. Chicago time, and the pics of him on the stretcher came out. No way, I said. This is BS. Found out he had his hooks in 4chan. Yeah, I thought that was wild as shit. You know, I always knew that 4chan itself was like a psychological operation. Um, and the fact that he met with Moot, anyone who knows 4chan language lingo knows who Moot is. Um, but holy shit, I had no idea. I had no idea. Um, like the poll board, POL board was just the fact that that literally was a psychological operation. Like I look back on it now, no surprising. I mean, that was the start of QAnon. That was the start of like this new alt right stuff. That was the rise of Trump. I mean, that's where everything started over there. So it's just crazy that Moot came in and met with Epstein, and then out of nowhere, poll gets started the same day. And then look what it's led to. It's just wild. Right. Epstein was definitely interested in cloning. And he was definitely interested in creating his own like super race. Um, there's videos of him and his friends talking to women about donating their eggs. And I mean, here's one thing. We haven't even gotten into anything regarding Zorro Ranch. Nothing. Absolutely have not gotten into anything Zorro Ranch. I don't even know if the FBI ever raided Zorro Ranch. And if they did, it was quiet. Nobody ever mentioned anything. Um, my personal opinion is he had whole laboratories set up over at Zorro Ranch. You can't even drive there. You have to fly in, typically by helicopter. Um, it's just what the hell is going on over there? It's like think of the most horrific sci-fi you could possibly think of, and I guarantee that's what was most likely happening on Epstein's ranch. That is a very interesting question. How the hell did Stephen Hawking last 55 years with ALS? Only 10% of those diagnosed last 10 years. Right. Well, partially, I believe, because Stephen Hawking was a fake person, and the whole thing was fake. I don't know if he actually had ALS. And regarding the fake person thing, just refer to Owen Benjamin and him talking about how Stephen Hawking is fake, and I kind of agree with that. He wasn't a real person. There's no fucking way. There's just no way. It's just like Helen Keller. I am not a Helen Keller believer. I believe she was a complete fraud. None of it makes sense. And the things that we were taught, I mean, it makes sense that people would believe it for so long because we didn't have things like the internet. But now, it's just it's really easy to compare notes and to look at, a lot of these things. And if you want to know why I think Stephen Hawking was a fraud, was not a real thing. In fact, let me see if I can find a video just real quick before we dive into this stuff. Let's see here. Let's see if I can find a quick video. Stephen Hawking used to have a interpreter back in the day. Yeah, let's see if we can find a video because, here we go. Here we go. This is the most wild thing. I guarantee if you guys have never seen this, it is. I mean, obviously, I think he had something, and he had, he was a person. I don't know if Stephen Hawking was his name. In fact, look, it's just Owen Benjamin talking about it anyway. So let's just look at that real quick, because I mean we just might as well, and then we'll move on to the substance of today's show. Let's see, this is 2 minutes and 54 seconds. So,
Big Bear, how dare it? When Dave Chappelle makes fun of it in 5 years, we'll discuss it. But this is an actual translation. Before his robot voice, he had a translator who looks exactly like Larry Bird. Tell me if you think that anything about this is real.
I think, in a way, physics has been a progress away from mysticism towards a rational understanding of the universe.
Stephen, when did you first realize you wanted to be a physicist?
I think I knew from about the age of 9 or 10 that I wanted to be a scientist.
What the fuck? There's no way this is real. Okay. And here's how the way I think they got the way they got away with this is because nobody knew what ALS was back in the day. And yeah, look at him. That's a Larry Bird looking motherfucker. And you're telling me these grunts and gurgles are somehow, ALS. You're telling me these grunts and gurgles were somehow translatable, and this is the only guy who understood him. No. I ain't buying it. I ain't fucking buying it. That's the guy on the video laughing, by the way. But
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If any of you think that Stephen was saying this bullshit,
I agree. It's such bullshit. It is such bullshit.
You must be vaccinated and voted for Biden. Because there's no way. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
So my activities like playing with model fireworks, or model railways, or playing complicated games was aimed in some way at finding out how the world worked around me. I was never very good with my hands. My
Right,
muscles did
a
not
Wookiee.
work very well.
Straight up Wookiee.
Okay, guys, we can all see that this is not real at all. It was normalized by Han Solo and Chewbacca. As you can see there,
See?
on the left is Han Solo, and on the right is Chewbacca. No one understands the grunting and gurgling, but somehow Han Solo, with his he has the same haircut as Han Solo, and he's alleged to be a very handsome Larry Bird guy. There is
a
no
Larry
way
Bird guy.
that the gurgling, and this is why the internet changed the entire game with scams.
Yep.
Is back in the day, a lot of people were not exposed to people that treat people with ALS or a lot of these ailments.
Yep.
Ukrainian Bear is currently taking care of someone with ALS. We can talk to him right now. Is that possible? Is that actual speech? Of course not. That's legitimately insane.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's absolutely no way any of that was real. I don't understand it. It's just crazy. But this is also what I'm talking about regarding Epstein. I don't think Epstein was his name. I don't think I mean, how much of this shit is actually real, right? Because here's the thing. And this is the story I always point to. It's the whole Edward Bernays selling bacon to the American people. Can you think of anything more American than a classic American diner breakfast of eggs, bacon, maybe a side of hash browns and toast, right? It's like we've all had that meal. We've all had that meal. At least once in our life, we have had that meal. We've cooked it at home. We've had it at a roadside diner. We've had it at Denny's. We've had a version of it called Moons Over My Hammy. You know, it's like we've all had it or a version of it. And the only reason that is an American dish is because of Edward Bernays running a propaganda campaign in the 50s. So it's like, if the propaganda goes that deep, exactly how much of our culture is manufactured versus how much of it is actually organic. And I think there is organic. There is organic. It does exist, obviously, or objective truth does exist. But I believe it to be a lot more rare than most people would probably think. Pretty much like anything out of Hollywood is not organic. You know, it's like, I don't know. But this is also why we are going to be looking at Edward Bernays, because these things, right. Yeah, that is so funny. I'm glad you brought that up, Finn. Yeah, Bill Hicks, it's just a dream. It's just a dream. Maybe we'll end the show with that. I'll see if I can find a good clip of that, and maybe that's how we'll end the show today. If not, we'll start the next show that way. Anyways, so to move on, this is kind of just a good intro, I guess, to talking about how a lot of this shit is just a scam. It's propaganda. It's meant to manipulate us. So Kellogg did the psyop before Bernays, not with pork though. And even if, I mean, Kellogg did the psyop with cornflakes, and there was a bunch of other stuff Kellogg did. But Bernays is responsible for bacon and eggs being an American dish. So even if somebody else did it before him, they didn't have the impact that Bernays did. But yes, I mean, you are right. Kellogg, that's another interesting person we ought to cover, because holy hell, the Kellogg company, even to this day. And I mean, just think about how Kellogg during the 80s with toys. I mean, entire cartoons were made as just one gigantic commercial for, kids to buy cereal. And like, talk about a psyop, like, holy hell. It's just so crazy. It's just so crazy. But today we are going to be covering the false memory syndrome, satanic panic. This is to make up for Wednesday's show. So unfortunately, was not able to make it on Wednesday, but I wanted to be able to spend my birthday with you fine folks. So we're doing a stream tonight, and I'm making up for Wednesday's show. So yeah, Kellogg built an empire on leftover crap grain. Exactly. It's grain that, would barely even be able to, be fed to animals. Totally. Yeah, that's such a good point. The government wants us to feel so helpless that we will agree to nearly anything to feel okay and safe. Yeah, exactly. It's the demoralization, and it's making us feel scared. Because yeah, once we are in that position, then we will accept almost anything to go back to normal. I mean, I think COVID is a great example of that. Let's see. Bill died at 33. Interesting. I loved my candy cigarettes. Hell, I still love candy cigarettes if you can find them. Thank you. It's actually my birthday today, but yes, thank you. So, those were so nasty and chalky, but so fun. I agree. But okay, so we are going to be reviewing a old 1990s VHS that was put onto the internet. It actually came out in 1990, and it's called In the Name of Satan. It's a satanic panic, not a documentary, but kind of like a scare flick, I guess. I think this is more pro satanic panic than it is, anti. So, but I wanted to go through this and review this, and then we're gonna switch over to false memory, and we're gonna go through some of that, and then wrap up the show there. But let's get into this. I will just say, first and foremost, content warning. I've actually never watched this one, so there could be graphic images. I have no idea. So just fair warning. Once again, that I always tell my audience, probably shouldn't have kids watching, but you are your own people. You are adults. You guys can make your own independent decisions, but I'm just giving you a warning ahead of time to be able to make that decision. Otherwise, you guys can make your own decisions. I believe that you guys are smart enough to make the right choices for yourselves. So on that, there might be some graphic images, definitely some graphic descriptions, I'm sure. I mean, this is about the satanic panic and occult crime and satanic crime. So odds are, that's all I'm saying. So on that note, this is In the Name of Satan, a 1990 VHS that was sold to parents, I believe. Let's get into it and see where this goes. Oh, look. Yep, right out of the gate. Graphic content. So
people were chained, they were beaten, they were stuck, cut, they were bled, and they would give themselves free.
Good Lord.
I remember just constant, absolute terror, and I can't explain how intense, how strong, how all.
Okay, once again, graphic content warning. So last time I'm mentioning this, turn back now if you can't handle it, if it might be triggering, all of those good things. Yeah, either that or just come back later when we're talking about false memory. And yeah, anyways, last warning.
Encompassing that terror is, unless you do this, you're going to get killed. You're going to die.
I watched them take the lives of children. I watched them take the life of my twin brother.
They didn't deserve to live, you know? They begged by their actions to be killed.
Good Lord.
It's absolutely inhuman.
I myself would like to go and fall back into a corner.
Okay, here's one thing I do want to point out. And we are going to be stopping and starting and commentating. Just because I'm not trying to rip this off for anybody trying to copyright strike me or whatever. But what is crazy is that a lot of this satanic crime, it's not just murders, it's not just occult crime. A lot of this tends to be suicides as well, which is absolutely mind-blowing. This is one aspect of this that I think kind of gets overshadowed. It doesn't get talked about a whole lot, but a lot of this crime, the satanic panic, wasn't just murder, but it was also suicides, and it's still happening today. Just like Heavy Metal Rehab referenced 764, right? 764, Order of Nine Angles, all of this stuff. It's happening today. So the truth in this world is often traumatizing. When I woke up, I cried myself to sleep at night for a week. Right. Being woken up out of this and realizing that the kind of horror that we are actually facing in the world can be incredibly jarring to people. Especially once you just like realize the true depth of where it's going. And I think that's what a lot of people are having a hard time with right now regarding the Epstein stuff. Like a lot of it is just, I don't think people expected it to be so bad. And when it came out that it was, you know, of course, us parapolitical conspiracy theorist people, we were all like, fucking told you. But other people are genuinely horrified, and that I do not blame them for.
So this doesn't happen.
People simply don't believe that this stuff goes on.
Right. They simply
If
don't.
we don't educate one another, it's going to be the crime of the 90s.
Crime in the 90s? What are you talking about, dude? Like, this hasn't stopped. This hasn't stopped. It still happens. Granted, it comes in waves, I think, right? Okay. I actually had a fire lit under my ass recently. I listened to a William Ramsey interview with a particular guest that he had recently, and it kind of just lit a fire under my ass because we are overdue for another rash of cult and satanic crimes coming out. And because they experienced it in the 80s, typically starting in 86, lasting all the way through the mid 90s. And it's perfect timing for another introduction of kids into Satanism, the occult, and all this stuff again. And I think it's going to hit a lot harder this time, and it's going to be a lot quicker and a lot more brutal. And this is partially why I'm doing this show, is to show that it was true back then, and it's going to be true today. And so hopefully we can wake some people up and get the information out there. But let's be honest, this stuff never stopped happening. It comes in waves. And I think we're at the very beginning of a new wave. Iron Maiden. The Process. Rage Against the Machine. Come on. I think Idaho 4 had occult undertones too. Yeah, it most definitely did. It most definitely did. Make sure and check out JJ Vance's coverage on the whole Idaho 4 stuff. Because yeah, it most certainly did. Also, there's Epstein ties to the Idaho 4 case. Imagine that. It makes me wonder how many of these horrific crimes were due to Satanism and law enforcement helped to cover it up. Or not even just help cover it up, but sometimes they don't realize exactly what they're looking at. And sometimes they also just ignore the occult aspect to it because technically, like you can't, like being a Satanist is not illegal. It's when it's, the murder that's illegal, but being a Satanist is not illegal. So to bring an aspect into a legal case, it's a lot harder to prosecute things when you start adding these things in. Although I point this out every time, you could prosecute a Christian for bombing an abortion clinic, but you can't prosecute a Satanist for committing a ritual that resulted in a death. It's like, I don't know. It's a double standard. It is a complete double standard, but unfortunately, I think we do have to live with that. Although hopefully things like this will get people to change their ideas about this sort of stuff. Fraternities equal secret societies, 100%. Jacob, are you still on Telegram? Yes, I am. You can go to, let's see. In fact, I'll show it real quick right here. So right here, allmylinks.com/rise to liberty, or check it out in the episode description. You can check out the direct link to Telegram. I haven't posted in a little bit, but I'm always on there lurking and finding new information and stuff. So yeah, I am still on Telegram for sure. Is JJ still alive? Yeah, of course. I actually just I had dinner with him not too long ago. So yeah, me and the wife had dinner with him, and it was a wonderful evening. So had a lot of fun. Darn well he is still alive. Yeah, he most definitely is. Glad to see you, RR channel, though. Glad to see you. Evil must be punished. I completely agree. And we need to not be indifferent about evil either. And that's another thing. People tend to act indifferent about evil, and I don't think that there's any room for that. So anyways, let's get back to this.
Satanism. To most, it conjures images of medieval black masses or sinister deeds done for the devil. But simply said, Satanism is the belief that evil is excusable and attaining power to control people and circumstances is desirable. Whether you believe in a literal devil is not important in understanding Satanism's effect on our society.
That is very true.
The evidence is in. Satan worship and satanic cults are growing rapidly, and adherents of these.
Right, and let's remember, it also doesn't matter if they actually believe in Satan. Like that's honestly not important. Honestly, because I will say the law kind of does have this on their side. What does matter is when the crime is committed. Now, I think being able to investigate occultism and stuff can lead to the prevention of certain crimes. It can also lead to information about how a crime was committed and all this other stuff. But most definitely, it kind of actually doesn't matter what we believe, and it kind of doesn't matter even what they believe to an extent. It matters more what other people believe than it does your own personal self. But it's when these crimes are committed. Now, the reason why all of this stuff is so wild is because when you live in this world, the occult world, the satanic world, and you run in these circles, you have a higher probability of being involved in something illegal. That's the whole point. That's why it's a problem.
These ideas are becoming more vocal and more dangerous. These symbols of Satanism are turning up everywhere. On walls, on clothes, on album covers, and even on bodies of murder victims. Law enforcement officials admit that satanic cults operate in nearly every community in America. Young children from Oregon to Massachusetts say they've been raped, tortured, and forced to watch small animals killed during satanic ceremonies. School officials in many cities report high school students are forming satanic groups. A Chicago policeman told us, satanic crime makes gang activity look like a nursery school.
So something I want to address real quick. Heavy Metal Rehab says, I used to think the majority of people of this world were good people. Unfortunately, I no longer believe this. So I understand what you mean. I do believe that is a deception, though. And what I mean by this is that evil, it's like, okay, here's an example. Somebody could do 10 good things for you, and they could be wonderful things. They could make you the happiest in the absolute world. But as soon as they do you wrong one time, it just overshadows all 10 good things. And I think this is the same way that evil works, is that the evil, it's so evil that it overshadows the good. Now, why it exactly works that way, I have no idea. But I do believe that the majority, I would say the majority of people are good people. I do think that there's a lot of people who are scared. I think there's a lot of people who don't know what to do. And I do believe that there's a lot of people who try to take the easy way out. So I would say there's a lot of weak people. There's a lot of weak people. And there's a lot of scared people. But I do genuinely believe that most people are still good. But it is highly and strongly overshadowed by the evil. And especially these days, because the evil is so prevalent. And this is one message I would like to get across to everyone, is that good people do still exist, but just like this comment here, our society is drowning in propaganda and psyop after psyop and propaganda after propaganda. So I think the good is entirely overshadowed, and this is part of the demoralization campaign. They want us to feel that way. So I'm not saying everyone is good out there, but a majority of people are still good.
During this program, you will see the many sides of Satanism. You'll be shocked, and you may be tempted to turn away in denial of such unspeakable horror.
Oh, get off your ass, RR channel. Get the fuck out of here. Like, what the fuck, dude?
If you think I'm exaggerating, watch closely.
Nah, you can stay if you want.
Listen.
I'm not telling you to leave. I'm just like, what the fuck, dude?
Satan. Hail Satan. Hail Satan. Those were the words of Night Stalker Richard Ramirez. Ramirez is the Satan worshiper who now sits on California's death row.
Okay, this is actually a question I've always had for people who are critical of this, right? What about Richard Ramirez? Was he just fucking around? Was he just kidding? Or was that actually, a satanic crime? You know, I don't understand what their argument is against Richard Ramirez. The dude clearly worships Satan. So it's like, what was that just proven? I mean, come on. But no. Satanic crime never happens. Am I right? Good Lord. Good Lord.
After being convicted of 13 brutal murders, Ramirez often left satanic symbols at the scenes of his crimes.
Right, because it was a
pentagram
satanic
on the body of
crime.
one victim and on the bedroom wall of another. In his formal statement to the court at his death sentence hearing, Ramirez said, quote, "Legions of the night, I will be avenged. Lucifer dwells within us all."
But satanic crime never happens, right? Get the fuck out of here, man. It's like, it's so obvious and it's so blatant. And yet there are still people out there just like, no, satanic panic was proven false. Okay.
In San Francisco, former waiter Clifford St. Joseph was found guilty of murdering a man during an apparent satanic ritual. The victim's body had all the signs. A pentagram had been carved in his chest. The body had been drained of its blood. He'd been sexually abused, and one of his testicles had been cut off. In Dade County, Florida, Frank Fuster and his wife were convicted of ritually abusing children at the daycare center they operated in their home. Children at the center said the Fuster...
There's a book about this. What is it called? I don't know. It's going to be the next book I get, at least regarding this subject. Oh, fuck, I can't remember. I'll look it up and
made
bring
them
it up.
drink urine, eat feces, and engage in sex acts during preschool.
Let's see. Did Ramirez know Aquino? That's a good question. I actually do not know the answer to that. So I'm going to star your question. I'm going to look into that because I would not be surprised. Now, I do know that Max Schreck and Zena LaVey went to go meet Ramirez when he was on death row. And so, you know, I don't know. There were connections to Ramirez and the satanic world, the above ground satanic world and the underground satanic world. So if he knew Aquino or ever met him, I don't know. Is it possible? Yeah, it's entirely possible. Now, if they actually had like a meeting face to face or anything, or even on the phone, who knows? I don't know if we'll actually ever know the answer to that.
School games. The case horrified the community, and the prosecutor called the Fuster's systematic abuse of the children, quote, outrageous. And in the longest trial in American...
Yeah, Ramirez was a case of nurture and nature. He had an evil uncle that trained him. Yeah, his uncle was actually part of the Phoenix program. And Ramirez is actually part of Dave McGowan's argument for the whole serial killing thing, as, you know, the Phoenix program can't come home. So, you know, that's kind of part of the argument. Of course, that's just one person. But yeah, his uncle was definitely part of the Phoenix program. And yeah, I guess trained is a good word. It definitely exposed him and traumatized him and programmed him, so to speak. And basically, like what happened to his uncle, he also did to his nephew.
History, children who attended the McMartin Preschool in Manhattan Beach, California, told of seeing teachers in dark robes, watching small animals killed, playing sexual games.
And I'm just going to say this, and then I'll let it play for a second so Not going to pause every 5 seconds, I promise. But the McMartin thing, the tunnels were found. Even the FBI agrees with that. So, you know, even if the FBI agrees that something was found, I mean, that's pretty fucking bad because the FBI can't be trusted for shit. So if the FBI even agrees, come the fuck on, right? Like, there's independent evidence outside of all the psyops, outside of all the propaganda. There were people that saw these tunnels. There were people that were in the tunnels. So it's like, I don't know what more people want. Also, I mean, here's the biggest piece of evidence is that you are going to find pedophiles where children are. Like, you're not going to expect to find pedophiles anywhere else. This is why every time a pedophile gets busted, they are in some sort of, I don't know, kids program, Boy Scout camp, daycare, like, and to think that pedophiles are not going to target the places that children are is just the stupidest fucking thing ever. You're going to find drug addicts in high drug areas. You're going to find drug addicts where the drug dealers are. You're going to find pedophiles where children are. It's not rocket science.
Drinking blood and eating feces. In a trial that many say was botched, none of the defendants was found guilty. But 7 of the 12 jurors said they believed the children had been abused. And virtually every expert familiar with the case believes a satanic cult was operating out of the school.
And just so everyone understands this, if you deny the existence of the tunnels, like, you're on the side of pedophiles. So, I mean, what more do you want? The tunnels at McMartin existed. I mean, it is as simple as that. I've been wanting to avoid this case for a long time because it's so complicated. And, you know, I do think it's time to start getting into it. So I'll probably start preparing some shows for it, honestly. You know, it's just kind of time to get it over with.
Of all the crimes committed in the name of Satan, the most heartbreaking involved children. For young victims of Satanism, the joy of childhood gives way.
Okay, I do got to say, this guy, like, his look bothers me. I don't know why. It's completely separate from all of this, all of the subject matter and everything, but his look just bothers me for some reason, and I'm having a hard time with it.
Pain, darkness, and fear. Sometimes that pain comes from strangers, sometimes from their own families. We've talked with a number of adults who tell stories of being raised in families where satanic rituals were part of everyday life. For many adult survivors, their childhoods were filled with torture, sexual abuse, cannibalism, and murder.
I was forced to help kill other children. I was forced to participate in their cannibalism.
Esther grew up on the East Coast. Today, she lives thousands of miles away. But her childhood memories of bizarre satanic rituals remain. In the outside world, her parents were active members of their community, involved in church, school, and organizations like Little League and Girl Scouts. But on the inside, behind closed doors, they and other members of their satanic cult forced Esther to endure repeated ritualistic attacks on her body and her mind.
There was a circle, and I was put in the middle of the circle, and there was a fire around me. During that part, I was told I was being married to Satan and being a child of Satan forever, and that kind of stuff. And then I was pulled out to the front of the circle beyond the fire.
Oh, that's a good one.
Then raped by the men in the cult.
Most vividly.
Now, I've pointed this out before, but I'm going to point it out again. Nobody denies, okay? Nobody denies that this stuff exists separately. Nobody denies that Satanists exist. Nobody denies that child abuse happens. Nobody denies that, well, okay, maybe some people deny child abuse happens, but those people are like fucking out there. Nobody denies that cults exist. Like, nobody denies all this stuff exists separately. But as soon as you put it all together, which is logical, right? That this stuff, if it exists separately, could also exist together. That there's a satanic cult that harms children, right? Like, that makes sense. If there are cults that harm children, if there are Satanists that harm children, if there are just people in general that harm children, then it would make sense that there would in fact be a satanic cult that hurts children, right? Like, that is a logical leap, right? And it's not even a leap. It's a little step forward. It's not even that big of one. It's not a full step. It's like a little shuffle. But once you put that all together, for some reason, people just think you're fucking insane. You're insane to think this. And I think that that's insane, to really deny that any of this stuff exists. It is genuinely insane to say that this stuff doesn't exist.
I recall about torture. I remember a lot of it very vividly. Being tied.
Okay, and here's, before we keep going on with this, okay, here's another thing too, is just the mathematical probability. Okay, fine. Some people are lying. But you're telling me everyone that has ever told a story about this, the same similar story about that this woman is saying, the woman before her was saying, the people I've had on my channel have talked about, any other survivor testimony, you're telling me every single person is lying? No. The mathematical probability of that being the case is also insane. That is improbable. In fact, I would go to say it's beyond improbable, and it's impossible that everyone is lying. It just is.
Hand and foot and burned on my genitals.
Karen grew up across the country from Esther. Her parents were also well regarded in their community, but they too led a dark and secret life from which Karen is still struggling to recover. Today, she edits a national newsletter for other survivors of satanic cults. Karen's abuse was so extreme, she often passed out from internal hemorrhaging and pain. She remembers being raped by cult members, shut away for hours in a dark, scary place.
It was actually a closet and a welded wire cage, and the bottom of the cage would be open. That would be how I would be put in it and suspended in a closet. And it was a very simple thing that they did. They just set a board inside the door and then dumped a bunch of snakes in on the floor, which I could see. They were probably even harmless snakes, but I was a child. And then they shut the door and left me in there in the dark, and I could hear it.
I was forced to eat human waste, yes.
Christy also suffered horrible abuse at the hands of her family and their satanic cult. Even as a toddler, Christy says her parents forced her to participate in gruesome rituals, drinking blood, eating feces, and killing children. Christy finally escaped from her.
Everything that's come out in the Epstein files. Imagine that. My thing is like, I really don't understand the arguments against this. Like, okay, I do understand the one argument that you should not lead with emotion when alleging that people did these things, right? Like, you should lead with caution, because to accuse someone of doing something like this, especially if they are innocent, like, yes, like I that's the one argument I agree with, is that we need to lead with caution in order to make sure that people who are innocent are actually not accused of this. But the best way to do that is to educate people about these things, is to understand that these things do happen. You don't deny that these things happen in order to make sure that people are not accused, wrongly accused, I mean. The best way to make sure that people can make educated, not guesses, but make educated claims, and that there are educated accusations, factual accusations are to educate people. Education is always the answer when it comes to this, and it's a real education, not propaganda, but real education. And you educate people by getting this information out in front of people, not by hiding it.
Family and underwent years of therapy. Now she can talk calmly about the years of abuse she suffered at the hands of her Satan-worshiping parents.
I remember being drug out of bed at midnight and taken to this dark cemetery where they would have rituals going on, satanic services, various things, and there'd be people chanting and the black robes. And I remember one of the first experiences as a teenager where I watched them sacrifice a little boy, and he was blonde hair, blue eyes, just this beautiful little boy, and he was about 5 years old. And he was groomed for this. And they constantly said to him, don't cry, don't cry. This is what you were born for. I did find myself screaming out at the injustice of it. And the high priest at one point came over and tried to shut me up. And I said to him, God's going to get you for this. And he took me from the tree where I had been tied to observe and put me in a pit. And in this pit, there were the remains of human sacrifices, of babies, of animals, and snakes that they used in the various ceremonies. And in this pit, they put a cover over it and left me there for quite some time. I'm not sure how long. I lost track of time. I no longer knew when it was daylight or when it was dark because of the covering. And every so often they'd come and just take the covering off and just stand at the top of this pit and taunt me, where's your God now? And they threw human flesh, baby flesh down. And that's what I was to survive on, if I was to survive.
They made it to be like it was a great privilege to eat the bodies. I mean, the girl that I had to kill, they treated me like I was being given a great gift when they gave me a part of her body that I had to eat. I remember being horrified, but knowing that my horror would not let me survive and that I had to put my horror somewhere else. The same thing happened when I had to have oral sex with a bunch of dogs. You know, that what they were doing was they were cutting out the dogs' penises and stuff, and they made me have oral sex to bring out the penis so that they could cut them off. And
it's just the most horrific shit you've ever heard.
I know that there were at least 12 dogs in there, and there might have been more. I mean, I never really.
And you know, this sounds very reminiscent of the process church. You know, this sounds very processian, doing all of this to dogs because for some reason they love dogs, and they don't love dogs the way that you and I love dogs. they really love dogs. In fact, they place animals far above humans. And man, it's just awful. Dang it, YouTube sucks for notifications for me lately. Well, and unfortunately, you know, this channel is shadow banned. So, but good to see you, Tara. So it sounds so over the top, which is likely why so many people have a hard time believing it. Exactly. It's because it's like a cartoonishly evil, right? And so people, it's so much easier to just dismiss than it is to accept that this sort of evil could exist in the world. Dog is God backwards. Exactly. Nailed it on the head again, Finn.
Stopped to count. I just remember that there were a lot of them. And, you know, I couldn't have any reaction.
Oh, you're good. We're just getting started.
I couldn't go throw up and wash myself and all those things I wanted to do because I would be punished or killed.
They threatened me constantly with loss of life, my own life, the lives of others. I watched them take the lives of children. I watched them take the life of my twin brother when we were just 4. I watched them kill animals. And then as I grew up, the threats became a little bit more subtle. It was always.
And once again, the targeting of animals, it's because they're innocent, right? Like it's because they're innocent. That's why they're targeted. It just, that's the way that it is. This is why children are targeted. This is why animals are targeted. The elderly even are targeted because of this. I mean, this is why they go after the innocent, the weak, the frail. I mean, that's what they do. And it's because, in fact, the people who attack those types of victims are in fact themselves weak because they're not. It's like there's a famous interview with a pedophile that came out and said that he would not attack children if there was a strong father in the household. And it's like, because somebody who is a predator like that is not going to attack somebody strong. They're just not. So, it's just kind of interesting that way. And Wes makes a good point that the penis bone of the dog is required for a lot of old magic rituals. Exactly. I mean, we're talking Sumerian rituals. We're talking, a lot of blood rituals mainly. Yeah, that is a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Just don't talk. And that was real hard to deal with, because people say, well, why didn't you ever say anything? Well, when you have such vivid memories of seeing your brother die, then you know not to talk.
Yeah, I wish it had never happened. I wish it never happened to anybody. I wish the losses have been tremendous. The pain has been overwhelming. The struggle has been a lifetime of struggle.
Oh God, that is super graphic.
The incredible stories told by survivors come out in words and in the artwork they create. Sometimes the art is done as part of therapy. Sometimes it occurs during a private moment when a survivor tries to make sense of what's happened. These drawings by survivors from all over the country reflect similar memories of torture and rape.
This is another thing, okay? And this comes from my coverage of the False Memory Syndrome Foundation, okay? Children do not have the imagination to just dream this up, okay? Children will not draw shit like this unless they experience or are exposed to something like this. Now, is it possible that a child could be exposed to like a horror movie and be able to recreate something like this in their imagination? Yes, but with these super graphic depictions of things, of sexual acts that most adults don't even know. Like, kids don't imagine this stuff. This is not, like, they cannot fathom this sort of stuff unless they are exposed to it. So this is why it's so effective in therapy for them to draw these things, because it shows that they were exposed to something. And then on top of all of this, you also have the exposure to drugs through this. Who knows that if what they are drawing is exactly what they saw or experienced, but from their mind, that's what they are able to express that they were exposed to. And this is the thing about McMartin that is so crazy is that there were over 300 kids that came forward by the end of the trial. And kids do not make these things up. They do not lie about abuse. And in fact, it actually shows, oh, sorry about that. Just getting a text message about a show tomorrow. Children, in fact, lie about the opposite. So if a child tends to be abused, they are embarrassed about it. And so they lie about the opposite. That's what all of the scientific studies have shown when it comes to this. If a scientific study is honest about what is happening regarding child abuse, which there's a lot out there that isn't, but there is some very forward-thinking and very honest scientific studies regarding what happens to children during sexual, mental, and emotional abuse, and children will actually lie about the extent. They don't make it up. They just don't.
At the hands of satanic cults. Baby killings, ritualistic rape, cannibalism.
Good old flathead.
It seems like the stuff of supermarket tabloids or trash TV. We could dismiss all of this easily, except for so many simple.
Here's another good point that he just kind of brought up. Trash TV. I think that's another reason why this is so easily dismissible, is because so many people like learned about this stuff from Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Tara, by the way. So many people learned about this stuff from Geraldo or Oprah. And say what you want, that was trash TV. Like, you know, and don't get me wrong, I like it. I mean, hell, I like Jerry Springer too, especially early Jerry Springer. But it is what it is. Daytime TV was trash TV. It is the potato chip of television, you know? It's like there's not really a whole lot of substance, but you want more and more. And I think this is another reason why it was so easily dismissible, because that's who was covering it. Granted, it did get covered on, you know, the 9 o'clock news, 6 p.m. news, whatever, but not the sensational way that it was covered on daytime television.
Stories told by so many survivors. The reality of Satanism is even more believable when you talk to reputable therapists.
I would
like
actually
those here
agree
at
with
Columbine
this.
Hospital
I would agree
in
with
Denver,
this.
Colorado. They believe the survivors are telling the truth. Linda Young is a psychiatric.
I also agree with this. Geraldo and Oprah are Satanist gatekeepers, 100%. Geraldo, I mean, he is Mockingbird media through and through. And Oprah, I mean, she's a human trafficker, allegedly. Let me just put that out there. She's allegedly. I have no problem saying allegedly about the Geraldo thing, because you know what? Let Geraldo sue me, and let's get to Discovery and see exactly who is Mockingbird Media. But yeah, I totally agree with this.
Nurse who works with adult survivors of satanic cults. Her goal is to help them move beyond the trauma of their experiences into healthy, happy lives.
Most of these people come to us thinking what's happened to them isn't true. They don't want it to be true. So they go back and forth. We call it the true, not true experience. When they're in a memory, they know it's true. And then they let the emotion out, and it's very true. And then the emotion goes away, and they say, oh, maybe it didn't happen. So that letting the world know that it's true, many of them know that that will never happen, or it's a very good possibility in our lifetime that most people will not ever begin to.
Ooh, that's also a good question. Is Oprah in the Epstein files? I don't know. I haven't seen her name come up. That's actually a really good question. Here's the one reason I don't think she will be, if she hasn't shown up yet, because I think the names that we have, okay, I believe that this is part of a controlled demolition. Okay. There are going to be certain people that are thrown under the bus. The Clintons, Jay-Z and Beyonce. I don't know. Les Wexner, like they're the names that we know of are being released as a controlled demolition, but we're not getting all of the names. Like we just will not get all of the names. Also, in my humble opinion, I believe that somebody like Oprah is actually more important than somebody like Epstein. I believe she's like well above him. So I don't know. Do I believe that she actually exists somewhere in the Epstein files? I do. I do genuinely believe that she is somewhere in there. To what extent, I don't know, but I don't think we're going to get her name. And like I said, it's because the information we have is part of a controlled demolition to try and make this go away.
Believe that this is really going on. It's very important for them that they know that I believe them, that I know this happened to them, that I have no doubt that this happened to them.
All right, this is one where we have backward writing.
Dr. Walter Young is head of the unit that treats adult survivors at Columbine, one of the few inpatient units in the entire United States. Dr. Young has treated or consulted on about 100 such cases.
Wait a sec. Columbine? Did I hear that correctly? I want to hear that again.
That I know this happened to them, that I have no doubt that this happened to them.
All right, this is one where we have backward writing.
Dr. Walter Young is head of the unit that treats adult survivors at Columbine, one of the few inpatient units in the entire United States. Dr. Young has treated or consulted.
So he treats, but hold on a sec. What? Hold on a sec. Let's see. I thought Columbine was 91. So Columbine. No, that was 99. So this came out in 1990. Like, so yeah, this came out almost 10 years before the Columbine massacre. That's weird. What the fuck? Okay. Make note of that. What the fuck?
On about 100 such cases.
And yeah,
Today,
backwards
from
writing
throughout the
is
country.
fucking wild.
I guess the thing that's most compelling to me as a clinician is to hear reports.
Here's another thing is that, and you know, hop on over to Austin Picard's channel, the Underclass podcast. There's for his coverage of Columbine, there is a connection to satanic cult in Columbine. So the fact that some of this work was being done, you know, in this area of Littleton, Colorado, I mean, wouldn't surprise me. I mean, none of that surprises me. Yeah, so much wild stuff with Columbine. I mean, it's just wild. The level of just insane connections and propaganda with Columbine is it's through this roof. It's through the roof. I mean, you know, it's just wild. See, don't forget at Sandy. Yeah, over at Sandy, the doctor that was in the driveway outside of the school said they were going to pay for this Sunday. He said he alluded to there was some kind of force agenda that made this happen. Right. Yeah, that's another subject we will cover at some point on this channel, although it will probably have to be behind a paywall. Yeah, that is some bizarre stuff.
From a variety of patients who do not have contact with each other, who report very similar stories. and stories which are shocking and alarming about murder and sacrifice of human beings, cannibalism, sexual promiscuity, in what appears to be a very ritualized, planned setting, using not only children, both boys and girls, but adults as well. We also hear similarities in reporting of being buried alive and then being unearthed and told that they've been reborn in the name of Satan. We have stories of people being married to Satan in marriage ceremonies. There are repeated reports of serial sexual assaults with the impregnation of a young adolescent and the destruction of that child, often by the mother itself, in the name of Satan. More recently, we're beginning to hear more specific techniques of indoctrination and torture. Torture is very frequently used to one, strengthen the individual to maintain secrecy within the cult, that is intimidation. It's also considered something to be desired by cult, that is the toleration of pain, the mixing of pain and sexual experiences and blurring the boundaries between them. But it's, quote, to make a good soldier for Satan.
What we're dealing with at this point, in my belief anyway, is a well-organized religious and cult-based group that is widespread.
Myra Riddell is
a good question. I have no idea.
Driving
It's
force behind the
probably
Ritual
passed
Abuse
away,
Task
is my
Force of the
guess.
Los Angeles County Women's Commission. Experts like Riddell are convinced Satanists can be found at every level of society.
Yes.
They are also convinced that the number of practicing Satanists is growing. According to Riddell, it's hard to get accurate information on satanic cults because they exert almost total control over their members and their young
Right.
victims.
That
There are
is
several purposes to this.
that is so accurate. It's scary. Like, yes, this is why it's also hard to get information on just normal cults. Like trying to get information on Scientology, and they're public. They want people to come and join them. And granted, we have a lot of information about them, but it's still hard to get certain information about them. You know, it's not the easiest thing. So imagine an organization that doesn't want to be found, that does control every aspect of the members' lives, that controls everything. Like, it's going to be damn near impossible. Not impossible, but damn near.
Kind of control. One, it permits the rituals to go on with the complete cooperation of the individual who is being sacrificed in whatever way, whether it's being killed or burned or sexually used for the ritual purposes. And the other is one that concerns many of us a great deal, and that is that these kids who are being this brainwashed are being inculcated into a belief in Satanism on a very basic unconscious level. We, in fact, and they, in fact, are trying to raise a whole generation of Satanists.
In the past,
why is this lady
satanic
dressed like
cults
Jason
have
Voorhees'
maintained their
mom?
membership by raising their own children within the cult. Now experts
that's
see an
funny.
alarming new trend. Survivors say that satanic groups are establishing preschools and daycare centers for the sole purpose of recruiting
Right.
vast numbers of small children.
Now, that's a great question to ask, I think, is so thought experiment. If these groups exist, they do, but let's just pretend like they didn't for a second. If they did exist, why wouldn't they themselves also set up these institutions themselves? Why wouldn't they? Once again, you're going to find pedophiles where the kids are. So why wouldn't a pedophile have the idea of, oh, let's just go a step further and just start the place ourselves? Like, you're telling me that these predators can't think of shit like this? Get out of here. Of course they think of this shit. Of course they do. Any way to be able to gain access easily. This is why the Scouts or the Boy Scouts is such a problem. You know, like, I mean, it's so easy for a person to start a troop, right? virtually no background check. Even to this day, there is still virtually no background check. I mean, there is a little bit now, but still not really. You know, it's insane. So it's really easy for a pedophile to start a troop, start gathering kids, and because they have the name, the boy, well, the name's a bit tarnished now, but for 100 years it wasn't, you know, at least not to the extent that it is now, but it's still going on. Scouts still exist. So you're telling me that, I mean, look at Troop 137 out of New Orleans or Louisiana. I mean, it wasn't out of New Orleans. It was outside of New Orleans, but Troop 137, the entire troop was literally invented to create snuff and to create child pornography. That's what it is. So you can't tell me that it doesn't happen, because it does. It's documented. Troop 137.
We're hearing from those survivors that there is a deliberate and concerted and well-organized, well-orchestrated effort to infiltrate the preschool system.
And here's the spy shark.
Psychologist Catherine Gould is known nationally for her work in treating ritually abused children. She's deeply disturbed that Satanists are preying on children at such an early age.
The purpose is to achieve an indoctrination at an early formative age when a child is going to be most susceptible to being emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually hooked to the cult and hooked for life. The idea is that you get the child under the age of 6, you abuse them, you indoctrinate them, you use them for cult purposes,
100%.
You break them down, you strip them of any sense of free will.
Now, do you guys know why this is, though? Because by the age of 8 years old, your personality and who you are is set in stone. So by the age of 8 years old, it is, even if a person is highly suggestible, by the age of 8 years old, their personality is pretty much cemented in. So they want to get to you before the age of 8. The earlier, the better, obviously. But by this point, it's not impossible and it can still be done. But the work that goes into splitting someone's personality into alters is much more difficult, and it doesn't last as long, and it's also much more difficult to get their personality to split in the first place. So that's why this is.
Will you strip them of any sense of connectedness to family or to the positive parts of society, and you have somebody who functions for the purposes of the cult. And the idea there, of course, is that the cult can call upon that person later in life.
Doreen Kenny is one parent who suspects that her daughter was the victim of satanic abuse at a preschool in Southern California.
She had stomach aches. She had
Cute
headaches.
little girl.
She would complain about various limbs hurting her. I mean, screaming with pain, just absolutely screaming with pain. Night terrors, just horrible, horrible night terrors. She regressed from a 3-year-old to a 2-year-old, and she was back in diapers. Finally, one day after being in school about 6 months, a little over 6 months, she had told my oldest daughter she was poked. And once that came out, I knew, because of all the things that had been going on, I just knew in my heart that she had been molested.
At first, Kenny assumed her daughter was the victim of sexual abuse, and she placed the little girl in therapy. Over many months, however, the real story began to unfold. Kenny discovered that her daughter had been subjected to various forms of sexual and ritualistic abuse that paralleled activities common to satanic cults. 6 years later, her daughter is still haunted by fear.
The most frightening stuff that is still with her is she...
Oh, that's incredibly interesting you bring this up, Heavy Metal Rehab, because me and my sister were actually just watching a bunch of stuff on Dahmer today. And I agree with you 100%. He is most definitely a victim of brainwashing. And it started when his mother was pregnant. Lionel Dahmer, his dad, was a chemical researcher, but he was basically abusing the mother and committing violent acts against her in order to make it so that she would have to go to the doctor and receive a bunch of medication. She was taking up to 26 pills a day for her ailments, which I believe he was causing. On top of that, I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer was allegedly abused by a neighbor boy when he was about 8 years old, which once again, there's that number 8. And I mean, I personally believe that Lionel Dahmer was abusing him in the home. But yeah, it's my belief that Jeffrey Dahmer was a mind control victim, and he was further mind controlled when he was in the military. He was further programmed to become the ultimate serial killer while he was in West Germany, which is actually in West Germany is where Frank Olson was. So for those who don't know, one of the most famous MK Ultra stories is Frank Olson was the man that was pushed out of the window in New York. He was trying to leave the CIA because he was doing, well, Frank Olson was actually building biological weapons in West Germany that were being dropped in Korea. The bombs that the United States said didn't exist. Yeah, he was building those. And they were also doing MK Ultra testing over in Germany before they started doing it here in the States, because they always try things over in Europe before they do things here. But even West Germany, even to this day, the military bases over there are psychological operation training and testing. So a lot of the soldiers that go over there have a very high chance of coming back programmed, being split, being pumped full of all sorts of drugs and chemicals. You know, the extent of what's going on over there, who honestly knows. But Dahmer was kicked out of the army. And when he was discharged with full honors. It was an honorable discharge, and he was given all of his benefits. That's what I was trying to say. So he was given all of his benefits, but he was kicked out. That's like unheard of. And this was also after he had medical training. He abused one of his roommates for like 15 or 18 months straight. There was a man that was sent to the nurses' station that was almost raped to death. That was sent there, that was expected or suspected to be Dahmer. So there is all sorts of horrific things with the Dahmer case. And that's also another case that we will be covering on this this channel. Let's see, his dad's book, he always makes it super clear that he was away a lot during Dahmer's childhood. He tries to make it too clear. Exactly. I think that's definitely a misdirection. And he also mentions like he had no idea about like the animals in the shed in the back. Like, bullshit. Yes, he knew. Like, okay, maybe he didn't know to the extent. I'll even accept that. But he knew what was going on. And his dad was there. His dad was totally there. He has an interview with Stone Phillips, and his dad is sitting next to him during the interview, like his handler. Yes. And if you watch him in that interview, it is fascinating. Lionel Dahmer is squeezing Jeff's arm in a like Morse code pattern. And it's the craziest thing you've ever seen if you know what to look for. But go watch that Stone Phillips interview again, and you can watch Lionel Dahmer squeeze Jeff's arm. And it's the craziest thing ever. Dahmer's father was into hypnosis. He claimed to have been trained in a military form of hypnosis. He specifically wanted total control over people. That is correct. And he even started his hypnosis training when he was a young boy at like 11 or 12 years old. He tells a story in his autobiography where he hypnotized a neighbor girl. And he doesn't really explain what he did to her, but God only knows. You know, it's like, it's the craziest shit ever. Yeah, it is wild. It is wild. And it's crazy that you brought that up too. Because yeah, the Jeffrey Dahmer stuff is wild. And we will get to Jeffrey Dahmer on this channel at some point. I think I'm going to start doing, let me know what you guys think. I want to start digging into some Program to Kill stuff, specifically from that angle though. So we're going to be doing deep dives into Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Richard Ramirez, you know, all the famous, but we're also going to do some of the less famous or well-known, like Bob Berdella, Charles, what are their names? The pair in California, Charles Ng and what the fuck was that fat ass's name? I can't remember. Anyways, we're gonna dig into all of these at some point. And so yeah, let me know what you guys think about that, because I definitely want to dig into this stuff more. I am totally programmed to kill pilled. I believe, you know, most serial killers are created. They're not born. I think some are born with the propensity and then it's brought out in them, you know. So that's definitely something I want to tear into more. My heart breaks for what Dahmer went through. I believe whatever it was horrific. I agree. And I mean, you read about the kid, it truly is horrific what happened to him. And I mean, that doesn't excuse what happened later on, obviously. I don't think anyone would ever make that argument, but it's so sad. It is so sad what happened to him. And he almost never had a chance. Gacy was put to death and Dahmer was baptized on the same night during a full moon. Get the fuck out of here. That's so crazy. That's so crazy. And allegedly, you know, Gacy was allegedly saved as well, which is wild. I mean, I'm sure they paid for what they did down here, but God does forgive everyone if they truly repent. So it doesn't mean you escape punishment by any means, but you know, I'm sure they got what was coming to them.
Believe she's being watched. Every red car and black car that goes by is watching her.
Yeah, I do believe that Gacy was saved allegedly before he died. I don't know if it's true, but I have read that in many different outlets that apparently he accepted Jesus as his Lord and Savior. Now, if he actually did, I mean, only God would know an answer to something like that. But allegedly, that's what the story is. So who knows? I know Dahmer did. That was like his whole thing while in prison was just like he was saved and spent a lot of time with his priest and everything. So I do believe it with Dahmer. Gacy, I don't know if I believe it. But Gacy also worked with accomplices, you know, and I do think it's fucked up that he's the only one that went down for all of that. I mean, Philip Paskey was definitely involved because he worked for Gacy, which means that he had some tie to Norman, you know. So it's like, I don't know, but we're gonna get into that. We're definitely gonna get into that stuff.
Every lady that dresses in blue are kidnappers. They will kidnap kids. These are things that she's been told. She has at one point, and as she continues in therapy, gets better and better, but at one point believed very much so that she was a child of Satan and that she actually had Satan's heart put into her. She still has trouble with that when you get palpitations, that her heart's going to explode, that because she's told.
Dr. Roland Summit is a psychiatrist who treats child ritual abuse victims at Harbor UCLA Medical Center. He says many satanic cults use intimidation.
At least they didn't become that evil on their own. I do think that some people are born evil, but I agree. They did not become that evil just by themselves. That's or my favorite theory about serial killers is that it was the lead. It was the lead in gasoline, and that's why we saw a huge spike in the 70s, is because the lead was poisoning people. It's like, okay, well, I might believe that, except for we would see like a way larger number of people going crazy. Like not just a handful of like really famous serial killers. We would see them everywhere. It would be like the Purge, you know? So I don't believe the whole lead poisoning thing, but I do think that that's a really interesting theory they've tried to put out there.
Fear and even drugs to make children keep quiet.
Children report being given drugs, which makes them feel sleepy, makes them forget. They're told they're going to have an operation. When they regain consciousness, they have what looks like a scar, which disappears, a kind of scratch on their skin. And they're told that something has been implanted inside of them. It may be a bomb, it may be the part of an animal that's been killed. And that will know if they're thinking about telling, and it will become armed and it will destroy them. So when children think about telling, and when they get nervous, there's a throbbing in their head, which they interpret as the bomb ready to go off, or a churning in their stomach, which may be the dog chewing at them. And from a child's point of view, they are now booby-trapped against telling.
It seems
they do. They tell us the absolute dumbest lies. And I think part of it is because they're just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks, and some of it does. And largely it's because they had the control over information, which is what makes the internet so revolutionary, and also why they've had to lock it down the way that they have. Because I mean, the free flow of information, because here's the thing, it truly is an information war. This is what makes podcasting so dangerous. This is what makes the written word so dangerous, is because the free flow of information is how people put things together, and that's how they learn things. That's how people wake up. So on that note, I'm going to say hit the like, share, subscribe, all of these things, because this is how we grow this show. Get this information out there, because that's actually how we fight back against this stuff.
Seems that Satanists will use all sorts of elaborate and insidious schemes to keep their young victims under control. Consider the case of Ed Gellum, a Protestant minister, his wife Mary Lou, and their son.
I'm going to let this play in just a sec, but yes, they got us to censor ourselves, and that is the worst. 100%. It is fake and gay, and I am not going to tolerate that shit. So hopefully none of you guys censor yourselves on my channel, because this is a free speech platform. And outside of direct calls to violence, which I don't support anyways, I fucking let the speech flow, please. Because I wholeheartedly believe in free speech. This has always been a free speech platform, and I want people to be able to feel as though that they can speak freely here in this community. Whether people like it or not is an entirely different discussion, but everyone in this community should feel free to be able to speak freely.
Chip. All three were convicted of sexually abusing children at the two preschools they operated in Roseburg, Oregon. The children told stories of ritualistic animal killings and sexual abuse with carrots, bottles, and sticks. Judge William Laswell, who prosecuted the...
Yes, it is. The whole grape thing. I understand why people do it. I get it. But yeah, it is dumb. It's dumbing us down. It's making things worse. And I mean, granted, this is not a pleasant subject. None of this is. None of the things that we've talked about tonight are pleasant subjects. But to numb it down like that and dumb it down is not helping the situation. It's actually making it worse. It is making it worse. And yeah, we have to do it exactly. We have to do it to communicate now. Yeah, and it is the stupidest fucking thing. Otherwise, like, we have to worry about, like, I have to worry about this video getting taken down. This is why I would rather be shadow banned. Like, it sucks, and my channel should be a lot bigger than it is. It's growing. I'm still getting subscribers, but I would rather fly under the radar and not get noticed and be able to speak openly, and say actual words of crimes instead of censoring myself. And that's not to say I've never spoke that way, because of course I have. But yeah, exactly. It's exactly what I was just going to say. It's just more trauma. It's more trauma. It's low level trauma, but it is trauma nonetheless.
Gallups, when he was a district attorney, says the family intimidated their young victims by saying they had magic glasses capable of seeing into the children's homes.
Chip, the youngest of the Gallups, had a pair of magic glasses, which is simply an oversized set of sunglasses you would buy at a carnival. The mother had a set too, and the father.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the children told us that Chip Gallup would get up on the stage, put the glasses on, turn in the direction of where the child lived, and then make some observation about whether the child finished breakfast, put away his pajamas, left some tracks on the carpet. What would have happened is that Chip would have called the family and learned something about what happened that morning. And so when Chip told them that he could see into their home and tell them something that they knew had happened, they believed that he in fact could see them and hear them wherever they were. And he had threatened to kill their parents and harm them if they talked. In addition, he'd given them, most of them, a photograph of himself, which he asked to have displayed in their bedroom so that he was always looking at them that way too.
Crimes committed in the name of Satan are beginning to receive special attention by police officials. Several departments have established occult crime units and are learning to spot the evidence of satanic activity. A number of investigators are working to uncover the links between survivor stories and existing cults. Others are looking into the possibility of a national or international conspiracy involving satanic groups. There's much to be learned, and law enforcement officials are just beginning to scratch the surface. But across the country, police
Mr. Flathead.
investigators agree a disturbing trend is emerging. The most vicious crimes being committed in the name of Satan.
Okay, it's the flathead and the square jaw. Like, it's bothering me, damn it.
Are being perpetrated by young people in their teens. Pete Rowland and two other members.
Yes, this is a great point. Was anybody saying satanic panic then? No, that was added into the lexicon or whatever it's called. Yeah, it's the lexicon. And yeah, this is actually also part of the cover up as well, is calling it satanic panic is because it's labeled as hysteria, right? And in fact, speaking of hysteria, there's that show that came out, I think it's NBC or whatever. By the way, great show. I highly recommend people go watch it. If, this is like your type of stuff, or if you just like Bruce Campbell, because Bruce Campbell from The Evil Dead is in it, highly recommend the show. But the very fact that they called it hysteria to begin with is part of the cover up. It's to desensitize us to it, right? It's the whole idea of like the UFO stuff. The reason I don't believe in aliens, at least traditionally, the way that aliens are, is because for one, they push it in sci-fi movies and TV shows and stuff because it's a way to desensitize us. So by the time Project Bluebeam happens, then we're not going to be as freaked out as if we would if it was just sprung on us. This is the same type of stuff. Hollywood and the media and entertainment, especially entertainment, is a way to desensitize us to these sorts of ideas. And it's also a way to gauge the public opinion on things. Comedians are typically used for this. certain comedians, not all comedians, but there are certain comedians. I think Bill Burr has unfortunately turned into one of these comedians. It's like a court jester, to where they're used to gauge the public's opinion on what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And this is, I was discussing this with my sister earlier today about how, like, Rainn Wilson from The Office, when The Office was on television still, like when they were still making episodes, he released a bunch of like really strange tweets about, the abuse of children and stuff. And these are used as like a barometer, as a way to gauge the public's opinion on how these things happen, which is part of revelation of the method. The elites use this sort of barometer as a way to measure if the public is going to accept this terrible behavior. And now, if you notice, things have just gotten worse and more satanic and overt. And now it's just like right out in our faces. Now, if you just like watch any of the award shows, or, like the Grammys were just recently, and it was all just leftist posturing and stuff like that. It's like, these are the sorts of things they put out there to gauge what the public is going to accept or not. And it's also a way for them to expose exactly what they're doing, as a way to tell us, which is revelation of the method, which is why outrage from the public is actually kind of a good thing if it's directed accurately, if people actually get upset about the things that people should be upset about, like, satanic crime.
Members of his satanic cult clubbed a fourth boy to death in the woods of rural Missouri. The group had been practicing satanic rites for years, torturing so many animals to death they lost count of the number.
Good Lord.
They were obsessed with satanic books, gory movies, and heavy metal music. After the brutal murder, Roland said songs by the...
Hysteria makes a person sound mentally ill. Right. And that's kind of the idea behind it. It's totally a propaganda word, just like conspiracy theory. It's like, once you say someone is hysteric, then all of a sudden somebody doesn't have to be listened to, right? They're not being told, or they're not telling the truth, or they're manipulated. And Hey, babe, I know you're watching the stream. Do you want to come grab your cat? She's trying to get into the closet. As much as I love her, she's not taking a nap anymore. Anyways, I mean, this is totally a propaganda term. So I don't know. It's really frustrating because these words are so easy. Well, okay, first of all, the very first episode I ever did on my podcast, it's actually an episode I should probably redo, especially now that we're talking about propaganda and stuff like that. But the episode was called Control the Language, Control the Mind. That was my very first episode that I ever did of Rise to Liberty. And hysteria is one of these words. Now, it is a word that we obviously need because there are people who act hysterical. There are times when using that word is appropriate, but what makes it propaganda is when the word is weaponized. Now, a conspiracy is real. It happens all the time. A conspiracy is literally two or more people planning something nefarious in secret. That's like all criminals, right? Like a conspiracy happens all the time. Literally, this country, the United States, was built on a conspiracy. Because if this wasn't planned in secret, I mean, the founding fathers could have been killed for treason. That was a conspiracy. And a conspiracy theory is in fact what a lawyer typically does. So a prosecutor will actually gather evidence and piece together a conspiracy theory based upon, case law or history, right? What has already been previously established, the known evidence, and then they'll take all of these bits and pieces and they'll piece together a story or a conspiracy theory. This is what a prosecutor does. So you say it like that and it makes sense and people can connect with that. But you disconnect the idea of a conspiracy theory to something else and all of a sudden it's just like out there wild, right? This is a weaponized term. This is what propaganda is. So it's the craziest thing ever. But if you control the language, you control the mind. What state was the West Memphis 3 trial in? That was Arkansas. It was actually moved. It didn't happen in the same county as the crime did, because the prosecution was actually hoping for a jury that wasn't, or the defense actually was the one that made the motion to change venue. So yeah, the defense made a motion to for a change of venue. The defense was hoping for a younger jury, which they got. They were also hoping for a jury that was not, quote unquote, poisoned by stories of satanic panic. And they were also hoping that because they had a younger jury, that they would be more empathetic or sympathetic to the three boys at the time, or the three young men at the time. And honestly, it still didn't work, because if you actually look at the evidence of the West Memphis 3, they fucking did it. And even younger people saw that at the time. So, it is what it is. Yeah, Christy Teigen's was actually disgusting as well. Right. Talking about it was like adrenochrome sauce, and yeah, it was absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Let's see. I think there was some stuff going on with Whitewater at the time. I can't remember the time frame. I think Whitewater was actually like a little bit after West Memphis 3. I could be wrong about that. I'm not sure exactly what the timeline is. But wait, yeah, no, because maybe there was some Whitewater stuff going on at that time, because I know Hillary was supposed to testify. And then the day she was supposed to testify in front of Congress, Oklahoma City happened. And that was a few years later. So, I mean, all of this stuff, obviously is all tied together. So, CIA coined the term conspiracy theory to shame and discredit. 100%. That's all out in the open. But apparently, even that's a conspiracy theory, by these people who just do not want to think critically. Like, just flat out. Hey, Finn, good night. I'm sure you're already out of here. I'm just getting to your comment now. But yes, I am definitely glad we are the good guys. I'm glad we're all on the same side. Glad to have you on our side. And good night. Good night over in London. Hope to see you come back. Always glad having you over here. F Damien Eccles, all his stupid friends for using cool stuff against us for the truth. Yeah, I agree. I can't stand Damien Eccles. That he's still a kid in my mind, right? Like, I mean, he wasn't a kid, he was an adult at the time, but he just seems like he never grew up. He's such a piece of shit. I can't fucking stand him. It's just crazy. Ah, yes. Promise. Right. Uncle Ted, I love you to death, the promise. Oh, yeah, and honestly, I want to know, in fact, you probably have some sort of information on this, but um the satanic panic connection to the octopus. I mean, there's very clear connections to all of this to begin with. I mean, a lot of this was, human trafficking and cult crime and all sorts of stuff. So, yeah. So the Mariah building was the headquarters for the 4 servers. Right. Right. All sorts of wild stuff. See, Hillary Clinton was Systematic's lawyer along with Vince Foster. I did not know that. Interesting. That is an interesting note. Maybe that's definitely something we'll have to look into, Systematics. And yeah, I always forget that she was a lawyer. And then when I do remember she was a lawyer, I always remember the story of her getting off the pedophile and laughing about it on tape. Which, by the way, if anyone out there in the world, whether you're seeing this now or at a later date, watching the replay, if anyone knows where to find that tape of her laughing about getting that pedophile off when she knew that man was a pedophile, if anyone has access to that tape, I have been trying to find it and I can't. So if anyone knows where, send it to me on Telegram or X, Instagram even. If you guys know where to find it or a copy of it, whatever, send it my way, because, yeah, that's one of those things that needs to be saved.
Rock group Metallica drove him and his friends into a frenzy as they planned the attack.
Okay, wait a
Eddie
second.
and his friends wrote books, gore animals to death. They lost count of the number. They were obsessed with satanic books, gory movies, and heavy metal music.
If you listen to heavy metal music and you get driven to a frenzy to commit crime, you're a fucking pussy. I'm just gonna say that. You're a fucking pussy. Like, if you were that manipulated by media, like, man, evolution is not good to you. I'm just sorry. You're a weak individual if you were that influenced by music. And it's like, you don't even listen to the fucking lyrics. Like, a lot of the lyrics from Metallica and stuff, like, it's about war and depression, and it's like about like overcoming this stuff. Like, come the fuck on. It's an excuse. It's an excuse. The whole, like, right, I agree. Or a video game, I agree. Which is crazy to me too. Also, like, the influence that hip hop has had on culture, it's fucking crazy. Like, I just can't believe, like, the level of normalization that hip hop has been able to have on, like, criminal activity, people thinking it's cool and stuff. It's like, you guys are a bunch of fucking weak ass people that evolution would not have saved if it wasn't for the modern world. Like, if it wasn't for the modern world, these people wouldn't be able to survive. Just period. Right. It is lyrics and rhyming. It is mantra. Right. That is a good point. It is a spell. It is a spell. Right. Hip hop is beautiful, but they took what the magic in it is and perverted it. Well, that's because that's what they do. And yeah, hip hop can be beautiful, just like everything. Everything can be beautiful. I mean, mind control itself can be used for good. Like, you can be hypnotized to stop smoking or to lose weight. Like, anything can be good, but it is the perversion of the good that in and of itself is what's satanic. It's the perversion of the good.
After the brutal murder, Rowland said songs by the rock group Metallica drove him and his friends into a frenzy as they planned the attack. Eddie Krigler, an architect.
Yes, the correction I'll make here, they didn't create it per se, but they did elevate it to the popularity that it is, and they place certain people in positions of power, specifically starting with NWA, to popularize criminal activity and to normalize it, and also to introduce it to white middle class suburbia, because that's who buys the records. And they did it as a perversion of culture and all of this stuff. So they didn't quite create it, because I do believe that it was a genuine art form. Just like anything else, it usually starts out that way, except for protest rock at the 60s. That was 100% created, 100% created. And grunge, I kind of think grunge was like 100% created as well. But hip hop, like the form of art, I do believe was a organic type of art form, but it was perverted very quickly, because that's typically what happens.
Saw youth claimed he was acting under direct orders from.
Let's see. I also think there's literally something we consider magic in melanin, and that's why they hate black people, and that's how they can use them. That's interesting. I guess I could see that. Yeah, that's an interesting concept. I'll have to think about that more. I'm gonna star that, write that down, think more about it, because yeah, that's interesting. Hip hop is a whack and hut psyop to fill their private prisons they built in the early 90s. Yeah, late 80s was when they really started pushing this. Right. I mean, it can be. It's typically not. It's typically not. And I'm not saying like everyone should be like mind controlled, but in a perfect world, it can be used for good. So, but it is the perversion of it. Not even thrash Metallica is frenzy music. I'm sorry. I agree. Interesting. Ramsey was part of the Francis Sheldon ring, I believe. Yes, John Ramsey. No. So it was John Bonet's grandfather was the one that approved the construction of the landing strip on North Fox Island. So John Benet Ramsey's grandfather was part of that. I can't remember that county where North Fox Island is. I can't remember the name of the Michigan county, but he was like on the county commission board, and he approved the construction of the landing strip on North Fox Island. That's how they're tied in. See, once again, I don't think it was created to do that, but I do think that that's definitely like what it was ended up running into, because it turned into a culture for kids to just like self-destruct, because that was the cool thing, right? Is to be angry and to do nothing about it and to do drugs and drop out of society. That's what it was turned into. I don't think that that's what it started as, though. But it's definitely co-opted and it turned into that. And I think the best expression of that punk movement is the documentary, The Decline of Western Civilization, Part 1, The Punk Years. If you watch that, that is very clearly a CIA psyop, but it is definitely what it turned into. So like, regardless of whether it was actually created that way or if it was co-opted or whatever, that part kind of doesn't matter. but it is what it was turned into. I mean, to an extent. I mean, but garage bands do exist, so there is and the yes and no, because first of all, objective truth exists. Like this whole idea of like everything's fake is in itself fake and gay. Like that is a psyop, because that's the spreading of the disillusion of hope. And that shit just isn't real, because if everything was fake, then the purpose of a psyop would be entirely pointless. Like it wouldn't, there would be no purpose of running a psyop to begin with, or to have propaganda. Because if everything is propaganda, then nothing is propaganda. Yes, Wackenhut is the CIA, 100%. For the most part, yes. For the most part, yes. Typically, yes. Yeah, that's why like an organized political movement will never be successful. Okay, let's get back to this.
Satan when he beat his parents.
You guys could totally just like we could do a total show, just everyone talking in the chat easily. Let's see. I do want to talk. We will know Henry Rollins definitely sucks as well and is not at all punk rock, and he loves Wackenhut. 100%. And first of all, I should probably do a deep dive into Henry Rollins, because Henry Rollins is a fucking fraud. He is a straight fraud. He has connection. He's tied into the Washington, D.C. Power brokers and shit. Like if you look into, JJ's famous saying, who is his daddy and what does he do? Well, you start digging into who the fuck Henry Rollins is, and you start realizing, oh, his background glows like a fucking glow stick. It's the craziest shit ever. And it's same thing with Bad Brains. I mean, these are all like rich kids that are like, fuck the system, right? There are a bunch of fucking trust fund kids that were able to live a certain way. And I mentioned this earlier to my sister as well, that, it's real easy to be a fucking communist or a socialist when you come from a family that's filthy fucking rich, any like genuine blue collar, like working class people, even if it's not like a blue collar job you have, but if you're just like a working class person, you don't fucking support socialism. Get the fuck out of here. Like, that's just the craziest fucking shit ever. It's always the rich academics that push this stupid fucking shit.
With a 5-foot club, then stabbed them repeatedly with the same butcher knives he used to perform satanic rites. At the time of the attack, Krigler was recruiting other teenagers to form a satanic cult. In New Jersey, 14-year-old Tommy Sullivan.
Yeah, I mean, saying that capitalism is strictly on capital is kind of a psyop, I guess, because a free market is the exchange of goods and services between a free people. So it's like a swap meet, or a yard sale. I come to you, I have a service. You are willing to pay X amount for my service. I say it costs this much. I sell it to you, and there's nobody else involved. We agree on the terms, and we either strike a deal or we don't strike a deal. That's a free market. I mean, that's just what it is, and that's genuine capitalism. It's just See, the difference is that the difference between communism, capitalism, because that's really the only two, is that there is no private ownership in communism. Oh, 100%. The USA is not a free market at all. We are way closer to communism or socialism than anything else. I'm not an anarchist and I don't have any money. Yeah. See, I am an anarchist and I don't have any money. But like the difference is literally just the free exchange of goods and services between a free people. But with communism, there is no ownership. And because there is no ownership, you cannot determine the value of something. This is the economic calculation problem, which is why communism and socialism always fail, is because you can't determine the worth of something, which is why communist countries always end up with like 1 billion fucking shoes and no food, is because you can't determine what the market needs. Because if everyone remembers that the market is actually just people, then it starts to make a lot more sense. And it's like, oh shit, the market is actually just people. Imagine that. Imagine that you cannot, you can actually not determine the needs of people beforehand. Like people tell you what they need. You can't determine that beforehand. It's a crazy fucking concept. It's like, holy hell. Oh, you are an anarchist. I am an anarchist. Okay, interesting. Yeah. I'm a anarcho-capitalist for sure. It's, I love a genuine free market, which is why I support black markets. My favorite black market, I'm not even sure what you would call it. My favorite type of black market is a lemonade stand. Little kids selling lemonade. That is the best. There's no government involved. It's literally just kids trying to make a few bucks. That is my favorite thing. And, I need to start keeping like, $5 or $10 on me at all times, just in case I ever come across a lemonade stand, because I will always support that shit. It is great. Wholeheartedly support it. Anyways, back to this.
Sullivan stabbed his mother 12 times with his Boy Scout knife. After that, Sullivan slit his own throat. Just weeks before the attack, he told a friend that Satan appeared to him in a vision, ordering him to kill his family. For Ricky Casso, involvement in Satanism led to murder and suicide. Casso and his friends formed a cult called Knights of the Black Circle. One night, they turned on another teen, Gary Lowers, forced him to say, "I love Satan," gouged out his eyes before stabbing him to death. The day after he was arraigned, Casso hanged himself with a bedsheet.
Satanism is on the rise, and it is the crime of the 90s.
Randy Eman is a police officer who spends much of his time investigating crimes that have links to the occult. Eman believes
Ricky Casso is another perfect example. Let me back that up. Ricky Casso. But I thought satanic crime doesn't fucking happen. Oh, okay. Okay. It's like, how many more examples of satanic crime do we need before people finally say, okay, maybe satanic crime actually does happen?
Casso hanged himself with a bedsheet.
Satanism is on the rise, and it is the crime of the 90s.
Randy Eman is a police officer who spends much of his time investigating crimes that have links to the occult. Eman believes the lure of Satanism is too powerful for many young people to resist.
The danger of Satanism and the occult.
Yes, 100%. So much crime has happened in the name of Christianity or Islam or name anything else. And nobody has a problem admitting that, but all of a sudden you say a Satanist commits a crime and you're a fucking conspiracy theorist. Like, I am so sick of this narrative. Oh, it's a witch hunt. Shut the fuck up, Aquino. Like, you and your stupid fucking eyebrows and your stupid bowl cut. Like, this idea, oh, poor us. We're actually the victims. We're just being targeted. Shut the fuck up. God, I hate these people. I really, look, I know I'm not supposed to hate people, but it's just, and okay, I guess I don't hate them. It's kind of more of a figure of speech at this point, but it's like, I don't know. I have such a loathing disdain for them because of the pain and misery that they cause people, and the pain and the misery and the blackness and the filth that they bring into society. I just loathe it. I genuinely do.
Society I liken to a narcotic. It's addictive. It's power they're seeking. And when they find out that they toyed with a ritual and that ritual worked, they're hooked. It's just like the hook in the side of their mouth as a fish. It takes them one step further, and pretty soon the hook is not on the side of the mouth. They have swallowed it completely. And it is a magnet, and it is a magnet that they can't go away from. It just draws them further and further and further. And pretty soon, they're not going with just lightweight rituals. They're graduating from candle rituals to wearing the costumes, the regalia with the ritual swords. They're going to the black hoods, the animal sacrifices, and where may that take them? To human sacrifice.
Human
And why
sacrifice.
wouldn't it? Why
That's
wouldn't
how far
it?
Sean Sellers went. Today, Sean is in solitary confinement on death row at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. Sean was just 15 years old when he was tried, convicted, and sentenced to death for 3 cold-blooded murders, including that of his mother and stepfather. Murders he committed in the name of Satan.
I was mad at my parents. I was doing destruction rituals, saying, Satan, kill him, get him out of my life. I tried to move out. They came and got me, wouldn't let me move out. And it just built up to the point where I did it. I had this dream over and over again that I'd kill my parents, that I'd sacrifice them to Satan in my dream. And like I said this before, I woke up and it wasn't a dream. It was reality. It really happened.
The murders took place in this house, in a well-kept Oklahoma City suburb where Sean and his parents lived. On the night of March 6, 1986, dressed in black underwear and a black hooded cape, Sean tiptoed into his parents' bedroom as they slept, pulled out a .44 Magnum revolver, shot them both in the head. Later, he went back to their room,
Fucking
looked
awful.
at the dead bodies, and laughed. What could have driven a young man to such violence? On the outside, they looked like a happy family, but the real story was different. From early
I mean, would it be fair to label this like sort of crime like possession? Like, yeah, because I mean, look at that kid. You're telling me that that little kid was just born evil? And maybe, like I said, I do believe that some people, very, very few people, do in fact, or are in fact born evil. But you're telling me that little kid, let's back that up. That little kid right there was born evil. He doesn't look evil. Most of the time, most people are made evil. So it's like, I don't know. That dad looks like he smells like Coors beer and cool cigarettes. That's fucking funny.
looked like a happy family, but the real story was different. From early childhood
Yes, Mark Passio calls them secondary psychopaths. Yeah, and that is a accurate description. That is an accurate description.
on, Sean was shuttled from relative to relative or left with babysitters. At 10, one of those sitters introduced him to Satanism, and Sean was hooked. By the time he was in high school, Satanism dominated his life. He formed a satanic coven with a group of his friends. He kept a satanic diary and illustrated it with satanic symbols. He built an altar in his bed.
Now, this is the shit where it gets dangerous, right? is because Satanism is decentralized. There is a centralized network, the Church of Satan, the Satanic Temple, the Temple of Set. Like, there are these centralized authorities, but Satanism doesn't have to be that. Satanism can literally be whatever you want it to be. You can, as a Satanist, go and just start a cult. It doesn't make it any more or less Satanist. 764, the Order of Nine Angles. It's all Satanism. It's Satanism isn't just one thing. Like, it's not just one thing. It's not just one organization. You can start a cult, a coven, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. You can start it, because there's not one way to Satan. There's multiple ways to Satan. Yeah, this is also a good point too, is you cannot worship Satan and have a satanic mindset all day long. Right. I kind of feel like Anton LaVey was diet Satanism, Aquino was full flavored. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of true. The way I explain it is that LaVey was kind of a psyop in the sense that he was meant to desensitize people to it, and he was also like the on-ramp, right? View Satanism as a freeway. LaVey is an on-ramp, an introduction to it, and you can go deeper and deeper into it. So you can keep passing exits, and each exit is the Temple of Set, the Satanic Temple, the Gray Faction, which I'm definitely going to include the Gray Faction in on that. It's just, how deep are you going to get into it? But you don't even have to be involved in any of that. Like this kid literally just started his own coven and then talked to other kids getting into it. There's not one formula of Satanism. It's all of this. Satanism is all of this.
Bedroom where he performed secret ceremonies. He wrote incantations to Satan, sometimes in his own blood, and he drank his blood regularly.
I began to drink blood because it gave me a rush. It gave me a thrill. It was like, wow, I'm drinking blood, And then I began to like it. The taste of it, I liked the taste of it. It was a very strange taste, and I liked it. And it got to the point where I had to carry blood around with me all the time, because if I didn't, I'd get to thinking about it, and that'd be all I could think about. It was like it was craving, like, I needed it.
Even at school, there were signs of Sean's...
So I'm actually going to push back just a tiny bit on some of this. So Tara Michelle, sorry, saying he also did a whole lot of fooling people that the devil aren't real because we don't worship the devil. It's just that it's a spirit of rebellion. Right. But it's not that it's a spirit of rebellion, because rebellion, at least in my opinion, is in fact a righteous thing, because it's the perversion of rebellion. You got to remember, and I'm not speaking directly to you per se, but just like people need to remember that it's the perversion of things. And so if Satanism is quote unquote rebellion, then rebellion, it's going to be the perversion of rebellion itself. So yeah, that's the only minor pushback on that I would actually give. Yes, it's all inverted. It's all inverted. So yeah, it's weird. And so rebellion itself is definitely like the idea of rebellion, the right of rebellion is in and of itself a godly thing, because real rebellion, to rebel, what is that famous saying? I hate that Alex Jones has taken it. Disobedience to tyrants is obedience to God, or whatever. Like that is a true saying. It is true that to disobey a tyrant is obeying God. So rebellion in and of itself is a godly act. if it's justified, if it is justifiable rebellion.
Deepening involvement in Satanism. When his teacher assigned an essay on how students had grown spiritually, Sean wrote about his dedication to the devil. He even read his satanic books in class. Yet no one intervened.
It seems like everybody was seeing that something needed to be done, that something was going on, and they were taking steps towards that, but they were all afraid to call my parents or to sit me down or whatever and do something, to really make a commitment and do something, because maybe it was because they thought if it was, Satanism or something, maybe it was religious and we can't get involved in religious things or whatever.
See, that's another aspect to this too, which is kind of freaky because, okay, so I don't consider if you're atheist, so I do consider atheist to be religious. Like atheism is a religion in and of itself. It's just like, I don't even know exactly how to explain it. I'm kind of winding down, kind of burnt, but if you don't believe in God, I don't know if that's like legally a religion. Like I don't know if I would consider it to be a religion. So it's like, if you don't believe in God, how could you be a religion? Although I do think that atheists like have a different type of God, and typically Satan. Although Satan's not a god, Satan is technically an angel, because the only God that exists is God. You can't have multiple gods. Like that's kind of a contradiction in my opinion. And so, but to worship especially a fallen angel as a god, is they worship of false idols, that whole thing. Yes, very much. All atheists I know are very staunch and accusatory in their religion, 100%. And yeah, to believe in nothing at all is the worst. I agree. And also that also means, you believe in nothing, then you'll fall for anything, kind of a thing. And that's also the danger in this.
Things continued to get worse until the night of September 8, 1985, when Sean and his friend Richard decided to undertake the ultimate satanic act.
We had decided we were going to break all the 10 commandments to show Satan that we were completely dedicated to him, and we only had one more commandment to break: thou shalt not murder. And that's what that night was to be. That night was to be this sacrifice. Get rid of these people who didn't matter anyway, who were in our way, who by the instructions in the Satanic Bible, said that they didn't deserve to live. They begged by their actions to be killed.
I love that he's telling this story because, I mean, this is so true. Like, it's the craziest shit. I've heard people, like, I hung out with people that talked like this, that did these things. Pretty sure I've been around people that have sacrificed people. I have no way of knowing that. Nobody I knew personally ever bragged about, sacrificing anybody. And that is one thing that's pretty common is if you sacrifice somebody, especially in these circles, you're going to brag about it. But yeah, I definitely hung out with people that talked this way. So this is incredibly fascinating.
I'm on death row. I am at the bottom of the American life. I'm at the bottom. I am the most hated person in America. Death row inmates, nobody likes. Death row inmates have no hope. That's what Satanism's giving me.
Unless your name is Damien Eccles, and then there's a bunch of people that want to fucking blow you. Ugh.
George Berlanger was also seduced into Satanism as a teenager. Now he's 27, stable, married, the father of a little girl. But his teen years grew violent as he became more and more deeply engulfed in satanic beliefs.
I was going to kill my parents at one point. I took knives and I started down the hall. and I was going to cut my parents up. And for some reason, it stopped. I was very cold, very demanding, very physically violent to my parents. Very physically violent. I used to punch my dad out. I used to hit my mom. I mean,
fucking
the whole night
gross.
without any remorse at all.
I'm sharing this so
At this
everyone
point,
gets
my
a bad
parents were
image.
so afraid of me. They were afraid. They were afraid for their lives. They put a deadbolt lock on their door. That's how afraid they were.
That's fucking
In their
awful.
own house.
That is fucking awful. It
Like
really
many other
is.
teenagers who become heavily involved in Satanism, George came from a troubled family. His father was an alcoholic who abused George and his mother. George took out his anger at school and was expelled at 16. After that, he became totally immersed in Satanism, obsessed with performing rituals, sacrificing animals, and drinking blood.
It is a communion to the devil. The way that you ritualistically take the blood, do the spells with the blood, and ingest the blood is doing a communion to Satan.
Okay. Did anyone notice like the look in his eyes while he's talking about this? Like, even though he's like on the other side of this, you can still tell that it seems like there's a hold on him. I don't know whatever ended up happening to this person, but just like, right. You can see it. It's still in his eyes. It's weird. It's weird. Very dark. Yeah, I wouldn't say that he probably still believes it, but because he was so intense into performing the rituals and stuff, I mean, once again, can we call this possession? Is this what possession is? Is because like you've allowed yourself, you've welcomed these sorts of forces into your life and welcomed them and made them a part of yourself. Even if you walk away, can you say that, he probably wasn't a part of this? I believe him in that aspect, but just watch his eyes. Oops. Here we go. Wrong
It is
button.
a communion to the devil. The way that you ritualistically take the blood, do the spells with the blood, and ingest the blood is doing a communion to Satan. And when you ingest the blood, it is to accumulate power.
So, like the way he talked about it is if like it wasn't even him speaking, almost like it was somebody else or something else speaking for him. It's just very interesting. And I mean, look at the type of artwork. And I'm not saying like you can't draw this stuff or like anyone that draws this sort of stuff is like satanic or whatever. I mean, I can show you guys some like terrible shit that I drew too, but it's just, I don't know. It's just interesting. But yeah, exactly. You can hear it in his voice. There is still some remnants of whatever he was doing. And it's not something that you can prove, there, but there's evidence. There's remnants of like whatever he was doing, whatever he was into, it's still a part of him. Yes, this is a very good point. Criminals are excited to talk about their crimes, which is why prison is typically known as con college, right? Like, what happens when you get a bunch of criminals together? They tell stories of past crimes. Like, like it's just crazy. Like, I've definitely spent time around criminals, and yeah, I mean, just the way they talk about it, even if they're not criminals anymore, I used to work for a felon, and he had become, he would always joke that he had become a domesticated house cat, which he was. he wasn't the person that he was when he committed the crimes, but the way he would talk about them was still kind of like reminiscing almost. It was strange.
It would be more comfortable to think the stories we've heard are fabricated or the exploits of a lunatic fringe. But if we believe the experts, Satan worship is undeniably real, and Satan worshipers pose a serious threat to society's well-being. During this program, we've heard from many victims of Satanism about tragic, alarming, and nearly fatal encounters with devil worship. We've listened to those who participated willingly and those who were victimized against their wills. We've heard reports of innocent children raised in a brutal environment of torture, and teenagers who were compelled to commit crimes and to kill in the name of Satan. All these accounts could make us question our fundamental faith in the decency and goodwill of humanity. But what we've seen should compel us to act responsibly and address the root causes of this terrible malevolence in our midst. Satanism thrives on secrecy. Its existence depends on concealment. That's why the bravery of the people you've listened to during this program is so phenomenal. They've spoken out, even under the threat of intimidation and death. Their courage comes from knowing that breaking the silence will save others from the anguish they endured or committed. Think about the remarkable consistency in all these stories and the blunt honesty of those who have suffered so much. See beyond the atrocity of Satanism. Remember that many victims are still imprisoned by the fear of Satanism. And those who have suffered so much. Consistency in all these stories and the blunt honesty of those who have suffered so much.
his face when he says blunt honesty. It's just blunt honesty.
Consistency in all these stories and the blunt honesty of those who have suffered so much.
I don't know why that
See beyond
made me
the
laugh.
atrocity of Satanism. Remember that many victims are still imprisoned by the fear that no one will help them, that no one will believe them. The seduction of Satanism will end when you and I confront this national tragedy by marshaling the forces of our schools, churches, community organizations, law enforcement associations, and social agencies. We must expose all the evil being done.
I agree. I feel like this guy got a lot of bad rap for being overly Christian or something. To this day, his stuff stands the test of time, right? I mean,
name of Satan.
So, yeah, I
And
agree.
It was all because I thought that Satanism would promote me. I thought that Satanism was the ideal of self-preservation and would make me successful, would make me the person that I wanted to be. That's the biggest lie that I've ever seen.
I really believe that survivors need to know that there's hope, that they can live through this.
This is my truth as I know it. And I know that I didn't make it up because I know I was there. And I know that there will be people who will never believe it.
It's very, very difficult to confront the reality of this, because once you confront the reality of this, you feel such a tremendous sense of responsibility to do something.
Now, I mean, now here's the thing. I don't know about any of these organizations. Obviously, I'm sure these numbers are old and probably don't work and stuff. I don't even know, how helpful they actually even were back then. But, just to point this out again, yeah, this guy got a bad rap for being overly Christian and everything. But what's interesting, I mean, we just watched this whole thing and he wasn't really like leaning on the Christianity. Not really. Not like some of the other videos, like some of these other like satanic panic videos like this, they definitely lean on the Christian thing and they like really shove that down your throat. This one didn't. This one was literally just about Satanism, like what it is, the reality of it and stuff. And this is actually one of the better videos. There's a couple of really good ones for sure. But I do agree. I think this work especially has stood the test of time. A lot of this is still true to this day. The reason why is because it was always true to begin with. It's not going to it's not going to change because it's objective truth, and objective truth doesn't change. So I thought Satanism would make me a better person. Yeah, kind of a stupid comment, especially in hindsight, Yeah, right. Scientology, same thing, but better person. Yeah, right. You know, right. Yeah, I've always enjoyed watching them as well. I always thought they were incredibly fascinating, and especially when they are complete like this, when the entire thing gets uploaded. That way you can watch it in its entirety. And really see it for what it is. So we are at about 3 hours. So I think we're going to start wrapping up here. It's getting a little late on my end. But I do want to finish up with a quick video, because I kind of want to finish on. No, we don't want that. Let's see. We're going to finish on this video. Let's see here. Let me just fix this real quick. So this is a video from Loudwire, obviously. But this is a video titled Insane Satanic Panic Moments. And there's a reason why I want to finish on this. And I'm sure you guys will see. Let's see here. Let me see. Okay, I just want to make sure and save this other video so I can put it in the episode description. Okay. So yeah, this will be in the episode description. The videos. Unfortunately, we didn't end up getting to the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. But all that means is that's what's going to happen next episode. And we are going to get to it, because holy shit, this is still some of my most, like, I'm so proud of the work I did here. This is what we'll be working on next time, is exposing Elizabeth Loftus and her Lost in the Mall study. Because I can't stand this bitch. Absolutely cannot stand her. So we will be working on this next time. Honestly, I would even tackle it tonight. It's getting a little too late. Got to go eat dinner and all this other stuff, and go enjoy the last little bit of my birthday with my family and my wife and everything. But I do got to say, I had an absolute wonderful time tonight with all of you wonderful people. I have just the best time with all of you, and I am so glad. So let's see. Hey, I saw some of your edits on Already Dead last night. It was awesome. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know, I am actually the producer of Already Dead. And I make a brand new edit every single week. So, yeah, it's kind of like Kill Tony, except for I'm the only contestant and I make new edits every week. And let me tell you, it's fucking difficult, but that's where I am every Tuesday, is over on Already Dead, running the phones and helping produce and everything. And honestly, Jose and Austin, those guys, like, I love being a part of the crew. Those guys are great. And, we've kind of got this little triangle thing going on, me, Jose, and Austin, and we all run great shows, and they're all, we're all different. We're all different, even though we run the same like style of show and everything. But honestly, I love being partners with those guys. They're great. And it's my birthday. It's my birthday tonight. So yeah, I turned the big 34. So crazy. I don't feel 34. I'll tell you that. And see here. Anyway, so yeah, let's start wrapping up here. This insane satanic panic moments, and so this is more of a anti-satanic panic perspective. Yes, 100%. The trifecta of YouTube conspiracy channels, 100%. And happy freaking punk rock. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Happy B-Day. Thank you so much, everybody. So I wanted to end on this because I wanted to kind of show the other side of this, because I think it's important to point out like why people look at people claiming that satanic panic is real in such a like negative light, because there is some insane stuff. But we'll take these moments one by one, and then we'll get out of here. So of course, one of the moments has to be Geraldo. Of course it does.
But at the church of a preacher named Roy Masters. Come out.
I won't let her go.
Okay. So that guy, Roy Masters, okay, it's so crazy, right? Because in my opinion, there were people, there were church leaders, there were preachers and pastors and bishops and tons of people taking advantage of the satanic panic, and they were abusing it from the other side, right? They were spreading lies of satanic panic in order to drive up membership and to drive up attendance at church. And I think that's just as wicked as some of this other stuff. But because of that also, that also was able to be spun and say, see how crazy these people are. They're able to do this and do that, and it's able to be used against the real message, the real things. And so I have a real issue with people in any church pushing this sort of stuff.
No. Exorcisms of the devil appear just as sincere, far out. And
honestly, like these televangelists and stuff drive me nuts. I'm sorry, but they just drive me nuts, because I don't think they're men or women of God anyways. But I mean, they're just like Christian scam artists, but because they're so like fantastical and everything, it's like they got a lot of attention. But I think that was part of the cover up. That was part of the psyop. And I mean, if you look into these televangelist people and like, what was that Christian television channel, something 500, I can't remember, but there was a couple that was on that channel. And they are just like blatant scam artists. I can't remember their names. It was an older couple, but like if you start looking into their background, like there's all sorts of like 700 Club. Yes, thank you. 700 Club. They featured some good stuff. I'm not going to say everything was like shit, but yeah, total psyop. Like it's crazy. These televangelists are scam artists. You look into that. I mean, I remember watching some of Dana's old research, and she uncovered the process being connected to some of these people. And it's like, what the fuck? Why is the process connected to a bunch of televangelists? Well, because they're fucking scams. You know, it's like, yes, 100%. Chicks with that hairspray, fluffy hair in the 80s and 90s, that certain style of fluffy hair, always suspect. Exactly. Yeah. Missionaries. Yeah, 100%. But these televangelists and stuff, they were used as part of the cover up. Because those are the Christians that were pointed to say, like, look how like crazy they're acting. It's like, because they were acting crazy. It was a crazy fucking reaction to this stuff. Like this like on the screen right now, this is some crazy shit, like doing exorcisms in front of people and like, oh my Lord.
Dramatic. Get out of here. With a background in show business rather than theology. Show business rather than theology. Indeed, the Army does officially recognize Satanism as a legitimate religion and supplies chaplains with this guide for ministering to the satanic soldier. Some charge that Army bases have become sanctuaries for devil worshippers. And the graffiti.
666, the sign of the devil. Over here, a bloody skull and crossbones.
I think I'm going to have to take this video from Loudwire, and I think I'm going to use it for a new edit for sure.
It's a pentacle. The interesting thing about this pentacle is it's an upright pentacle. Let me see. It's actually fairly fresh. This is how gangs talk to each other, okay? But now this is how occultists talk to each other. This here is a psilocybin.
Okay, so this, for instance, right? Like this, this is the craziest thing. This is how occultists speak to each other. No, like, okay, well, a little bit, yes. He's not 100% wrong because, like, for instance, gangs talk to each other, right? Through graffiti. That's how they mark their territory and stuff. And don't be fooled. Street gangs are like an occultist organization. I mean, rituals to move in and move out, or even if you can even leave the group to begin with. But yeah, 100%. So this dude, he's pointing to a magic mushroom. It was honestly probably some fucking hippie dope that tagged that, and like has nothing to do with any of this. And it's like, it shows this level of like incompetence. They're just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. And this is the sort of stuff, whether this was genuine or not, this is what was used to make Satanic Panic look the way that it looks to most people.
Mushroom. So probably they had a psilocybin ritual.
Mike Warnke is a former Satanist.
Right. Like a psilocybin ritual. What the fuck? Get the fuck out of here. No, it was probably just some hippie kid. Like, not everything is Satanism. Not everything is like a ritual, but that's part of the cover up. That is the Satanic Panic psyop.
Today he's a...
Okay, and Mike Warnke. Okay, we've talked about him a little bit. There's a new book I've been reading by Gregory Reed. Reed, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, but the book is called The Real Satanic Panic Story. And he was in the middle of all of this. I will be trying to get him on my show at some point, but he worked with Mike Warnke. He has a different opinion on Warnke, so that's why I want to have Greg on my show. I kind of want to talk to him about all of these other people because he worked with these people. And yeah, no kidding. This mullet is serious. Don't get me wrong. I like a good mullet. I really do like a good mullet, but man, that's like a Kentucky waterfall style mullet. But there's just some people that see, look, the way they phrase him is a legendary troll. Now, allegedly, Mike Warnke was disproven, right? And he was shown to be a fraud and all of this stuff. I don't know. I get wary of that, is him being shown as a fraud and stuff. I'm not saying he wasn't. It's just like I get weary of the official story, as we all should.
Successful comedian, preaching Christianity in the form of humor. But back in the 60s, he was one of Satanism's high priests.
The things that you would see in a satanic altar.
He showed us what a satanic temple might resemble, and typical implements used to worship the devil.
The bones usually are used in a ceremony that calls for telling the future.
Ah, yes. Kenneth Copeland. Yeah. Eric Kirk eyes, you know. They have the same fucking eyes, man. Kenneth Copeland and Erica Kirk. Man, I swear they would be related, you know. It's fucking crazy. Those when he's talking about that airplane, that airplane that he bought from Tyler Perry, and he switches from that like demon stare to that reporter, and then he just goes back to normal. Whoo, man, that is one hell of a video. And yeah, Sam Kinison was a preacher. That's interesting. So, in fact, I'm going to star that, and we'll end on the Sam Kinison thing. Let's finish this up real quick.
I have an old 3-inch scar here on my wrist where my friends used to cut my arm open and bleed my blood into a cup and drink it mixed with wine and urine 4 times a year as a ceremony to Satan.
In May of 1982.
That could have been true, you know, like, I don't know. I think it's a little suspect, personally. I think Mike Warnke is a little suspect. But it's shit like that was used to be like, look at how crazy these people are.
Teenagers of a congregation in Topeka.
And that's what I think Mike Warnke was actually used for. Whether he knew it or not is an entirely different story. It's them, you know, being used to make this look crazy.
Kansas.
You call that a useful idiot. Doesn't mean they are idiots. It's just they're being manipulated for a purpose that isn't overt until at least hindsight is available.
Destroyed thousands of dollars worth of records and tapes, which they felt contained the message of Satan.
Yeah,
Christian
and
concern
this-
sheds light on
this
a more
shit is
secular
crazy.
aspect of music
It
listening.
really is
It's
crazy.
what you don't hear.
Certain parts of the men's uniforms all accentuate the genitals of a male. Faceless creatures in
Like,
robes that...
Okay, this shit is crazy. Like, I'm sorry, it's fucking crazy. Like, oh, it's a bunch of faceless creatures, and oh, this Kiss album is accentuating the fucking package of a male. Right. And that's satanic. Why? Like, I'm not saying it's classy. it's not wholesome. It's not, you know, appropriate for all ages, you know, but satanic, I don't know. Come on now.
Me would, from my study, certainly symbolize druids, which of course go back to Satan worship. In the blood stains, there is very definitely, without any shadow of a doubt here, a face of Satan.
Okay.
For the purposes of this study, we will focus on the number 666 and its use in the Universal Product Code.
Okay.
Most people don't realize that 80% of all toys on the market have occultic influence, and these are the most popular.
It says here that it actually makes the wings move, so let me look at that. Isn't that amazing?
Remember those verses in the book of Revelation about the flying beast with the riders on them?
This could actually...
Okay, see, this is the type of shit, like, I swear to God, this is part of this, like, psyop. Like, it's such a ridiculous, it's such like a ridiculous thing to happen that it seems ridiculous. So it's like, what the fuck? This this is the Satanic Panic cover-up, you know? It's like, I don't
be
know,
taken
man.
from Revelations.
You'll notice that they're depicted as blue with black lips.
Well, isn't that interesting?
And you know what happens to you when you die? You turn blue and your lips turn black.
It's Smurfs.
What the fuck? Like, see what I mean? This is crazy. This shit is crazy. And this is why it was so easy for people to come in and just explain it away. It's just like, oh, they're just hysterical Christians.
Has gone occultic.
Very much so.
Smurfs carry a
Okay, let's be honest. The Smurfs was definitely an anti-Semitic cartoon. Sure, I'm fine with that theory. But I mean, them being like, oh, the Smurfs are blue and their lips are black. What happens to you when you die? You turn blue and your lips turn black. Okay, sure, whatever.
sexual connotation in that most of them are male.
I believe so.
Snake Mountain, it's got a...
Okay, so most of them are male, so they're all like gay. What? Okay, that's a stretch.
Interesting little feature here. I'm going to turn it on. It can actually transform your voice from your regular voice to that of an occultic hero. Is that correct? Let me turn this on here. I think I'm getting it too loud. Skeletor, the master of the universe.
And I reverse thread the machine, and I'm...
Yeah, that shit's all insane. That was literally just a fun toy. It's that, I mean, to call that satanic is, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I'll play that exact piece of tape backwards now. Okay.
Here's the thing about backmasking too, is like backmasking. Okay. The music of Satan, you don't have to hide messages because you just play it normally, right? Like the message is overt. It's just there. You don't have to hide messages in this shit. Now, the Led Zeppelin thing, I've talked about this before. I do think that there's probably something to it. Zeppelin were very clearly occultists, and I'm sure there was like some spells and shit in their lyrics, and you know, like Zeppelin is weird, right? Like it's very clearly a satanic band in my opinion. But the whole backmasking thing is crazy. Like it's if it's satanic music, it's just overt. You don't have to hide it.
I live with Satan, exactly. And then you'll hear there's power in Satan.
Right.
He will give you 666.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are just a couple examples. Like, and this isn't even like the best examples from Loudwire. There was like some other videos, I think. So some of these, like 10 psycho preachers who hate rock and metal.
Reasons on rock and roll music and why I preach against it, and I believe with all of my heart that it is a contributing factor to our juvenile delinquency of today. I 100% believe it. Why I believe that is because I know how it feels when you sing it.
Yeah, no kidding. She literally clutched the pearls, didn't she?
I know the evil
like
feeling that you feel when you sing it. I know the lost position that you get into in the beat. Well,
so I wanted to focus or feature this comment real quick. The Process Church preached the existence of 4 gods and 4 sections. They were known as Jehovah, Lucifer, Satan, and Christ, and were collectively referred to as the great gods of the universe. Right, exactly, 100%. It's so right on that. And thank you for that comment.
if you talk to the average teenager of today and you ask them what it is about rock and roll music that they like, and the first thing they'll say is the beat.
And I've reverse thread the machine, and I'm going to play that exact piece of tape backwards now. Okay, just to
that you've not doctored
I have not doctored it in any way. All right, let's go ahead and start. Okay, I live with Satan, exactly. And then you'll hear there's power in Satan.
And this woman's about ready to fucking tip over in her chair and fucking bawl. Like, I get it, you know, but holy shit, woman, like, get a hold of yourself. And do you realize like how complicated it would be to be able to say something forward knowing that it's going to sound like something else backwards? And like it doesn't even make sense because Satanism, when you perform a ritual, you're not saying words backwards. Now, granted, there is, you know, backwards spelling and words that or incantations that can be spoken backwards. But that's entirely something different. This was literally just a way to make all of this seem crazy. And so if there were any actual uses of backmasking that were meant to harm people or to do this or that, then it was going to be ignored because of other instances like this. People were just going to roll their eyes at it because that's exactly what happened.
He will give you 666.
Yeah.
Listen to the beginning of In League with Satan from Venom's album, Welcome to Hell.
Once again, Venom, the like the message is just overt. You don't have to hide something in backmasking.
Outside intelligent forces with supernatural power are occasionally able to play an artist much like we would play a musical instrument.
They show these same programs, the rock concerts, on television, and it's just like all hell was let loose. In fact, you may not like what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway because I'm not afraid to speak out. I think that the music in hell for eternity be some of this rock music with all its vulgarities and all of its sexual innuendos. And here they were stripping themselves, the fella running around in a little G-string. It reminds me of the wild man of Gadara in Mark chapter 5 who was possessed of a
There's that
demon
fluffy
running
hair
around in the graveyard, naked and cutting himself with stones and screaming, demon possession. Psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your heart to the Lord. You get a dose of the Holy Ghost, filling you, controlling you. You'll be singing.
He does
a new
have
song
tiny
and get
hands.
rid of all of those stinking rock records.
A lot of times I would tell people, you know, I don't need drugs. I got rock and roll. You know, and it was like a heroin addict needs his fix. I needed to rock.
But as a drug addict has to come down.
I need rock and roll, man. I need that Satan in my life. Like, get the fuck out of here. This is absurd. And this is why people view Satanic Panic the way that they do, and why it's so easy for them to be like, yeah, it was literally just hysterical Christians. This is the sort of stuff why. This is literally propaganda.
From a chemical high, so Kevin had to face the fact that heavy metal too was a false high. When the music stopped, he still had to face himself. So as this home video shows, when he made the decision...
Okay, so he stopped listening to heavy metal and then all of a sudden he had to face himself. So it's a him problem, not a music problem then. Imagine that. Imagine that.
Put his old lifestyle behind him, he went to great lengths to ensure he would never turn back. His friends were incredulous when he took his $20,000 music collection, over 1,100 CDs, records, and tapes, and burned them.
No.
Yes, burned them in a remote Texas field.
And after I knew the love of the Lord, I could love my wife, and I could love my enemy and my neighbor, you know, because he loved me.
Kevin Enderlin. Ladies and gentlemen, there are many of you right now. Maybe it's heavy metal.
Maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's drugs, maybe it's some infatuation, whatever it is that's driving you, whatever holds you. Jesus came to set you free.
They want to try to justify their strobe lights and their weird wild suits and their pink hair and their yellow hair and singing their rock songs and smoke bombs going off as glorifying the Holy Ghost. Why would a girl...
Are you kidding me? Have you seen some of these fucking churches? They do the same shit. So this dude is high in the fucking night.
Under the guise of Christendom and
listen to him. He's got a fucking microphone and this is like the like televangelist equivalent. You know, this is crazy.
Pants so tight they have to have leg stretchers to get them off of her.
Look at that arena.
Get up on a stage supposedly singing Christian music and wiggle all over it.
There is a form of music that absolutely should be avoided by saintly people. I call it the hidden dangers of rock music. And you'd just be surprised. I say hidden because the devil always has an agenda on what he does. Okay? He always has an agenda of what he's trying to do. If he says, if he puts something out, I guarantee you there's a secret behind it. The strongholds that have an impact on our life, that to our flesh seems so appealing and so natural, they will eventually, if they're a stronghold of the devil and they are a root of the devil, they will eventually bring bitterness to our life. Would you agree with that? Say amen.
Watch these Christians. They don't overcome sin in their life. They don't have time for the Bible. They spend hours practicing their guitars and listening to these worldly rock musicians and trying to imitate that in their own life. No, all I'm saying is it's not godly. I cannot imagine Jesus when he was 15 years old listening to that type of thing. People ask me, what do you think of Christian rock? I say, Christian rock, that's like asking me what I think of Christian adultery. Christian adultery, what's that? Adultery between two Christians? Christian murder. What's Christian murder?
You know, there's something about when you go to a concert of...
Okay, this dude is actually fucking hilarious. This dude cracks me up so much. But, he's still wrong about this. But this dude fucking cracks me up. He's so fucking funny.
Death metal, somebody might get killed. You're worshiping death. And then all of a sudden people start dying. Oh, wait a minute. What's going on? Well, you love death so much that you bought the ticket. Yeah. You love worshiping Satan. Well, let's have some of Satan's religion come in and shoot you. I mean, that's what these people should think about before they go to such a wicked concert.
Because when the Prince of Darkness gets in here, he'll destroy everything in your life. I've had parents explain to me, well, I let my teenager listen to rock music because that's all he'll listen to. Let me tell you, so the lyrics to real rock music is nothing more than satanic cyanide. Get it out of your house,
God. Throw
it out, and burn it. It has no place in the house of the righteous.
Like, okay, this is the sort of shit I'm talking about. This is truly the propaganda of the satanic panic. Like I said, this is why so many people are so easily dismissive of this. It's because of people like this, people like that, I should say. People that were so willing to just come in and spread nonsense, because that is nonsense. They took things to such an extreme level. They might have genuinely thought that they were helping, but they were in fact shooting themselves in the foot. Now, none of that helped expose satanic crime. They were trying to bolster the attendance at church. They were trying to scare people. It's fear propaganda. That's what it is. It's manipulation. And it's like, get the hell out of here. That's not any better than any of the rest of this. So I did say we were going to kind of end with Sam Kinison. So Sam Kinison was a preacher at one point. He left his ministry and decided to be a stand-up comedian, one of the best of all time, in my opinion. I love Sam Kinison. I think he's hilarious. In fact, there's a Sam Kinison movie coming out soon, I believe, or maybe it's already out. Allegedly, his brother said, because his brother, Bill Kinison, was there when he passed away. He allegedly said that when his brother passed away, he had mentioned something like he was talking to somebody else when he was like passing away. He was speaking to somebody else, and he had mentioned something about saying, I don't want to go yet. It's not time for me to go. But he finally like accepted it. But his brother Bill said that he was speaking to somebody else while he was going through this. So he was going through the motions of grief almost like instantaneously while he was dying. And after he was shown something, or what appears to be shown something, his brother obviously couldn't see it, but Sam could. He was having a communication with somebody or something, and he finally accepted it and moved on. And that's when Bill Kinison said he passed away, was after he said, okay, I guess I understand now. And he passed away then. And I find that incredibly interesting. This is a man that, turned his back on religion, and kind of seems as though, if you believe the story that is, which I'm not sure why his brother would lie. And also, I mean, the story has stayed consistent this entire time, but it's just, I don't know, it's very interesting. Now, I will say, like I said, we didn't have time to get to False Memory Syndrome Foundation, but that's what we will be doing next week. We will be getting to False Memory Syndrome Foundation, and we will start touching on Edward Bernays and propaganda and all this other stuff. So I will like to say thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of Rise to Liberty. Because I missed the other shows this week, I wanted to do a little bit of an extra long show for everyone here. So I hope you guys really did enjoy this. I had a lot of fun hanging out with you guys. This definitely was the cherry on top for my birthday. So I appreciate all of you for tuning in. So do me a favor on your way out, make sure and hit that like, share, subscribe, all of the good things, all of the things that I have to say every episode. But make sure and go to allmylinks.com /Rise to Liberty. This is my master link. You can come over here and you can find all of my social medias. You can find everything to go donate to me. Because in case you didn't know, if this is your first time here, I am a 100% listener and fan funded. I don't take, I don't take big money from anybody. This is 100% done by me, for you guys. And so here it is. This is what I am. If you like what I do, then, hit up, buy me a coffee. I need as much caffeine as possible to keep this thing going. It's pretty much, my only vice, that and nicotine these days, but I'll take care of the nicotine if you guys can help out with the caffeine. You can also head on over to Ko-Fi and go donate there. You can also donate directly to PayPal, to Cash App. I also accept Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Monero. However, if you are going to donate crypto, get a hold of me first, and we'll get that working. Also, if if you want to get something, which I totally understand, you can head on over to risetoliberty.store and you can go pick up a really awesome piece of merch. I do all of my own designs myself. We still got hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, everything but the damn water bottle. Like I said, they won't let me remove it for some reason. So that's still there for whatever reason. But go pick yourself up a sweet piece of merch. Everything is just like the top quality that I could possibly get. Otherwise, I understand that sometimes it's difficult. Not everyone has money to be able to spread around and everything. Times are tight right now. I don't blame anyone for that. So one of the best things you can do outside of all of this is like, share, subscribe, cut up this show, link it back to me, do whatever you need to, but spread this around, get this out to as many people as possible, help grow this community, find other people out there. The one thing that was always really disheartening, before I had a community like this, was feeling alone. And I understand it's really difficult, especially if there are people in your life that don't understand this, that aren't awake yet. Well, this is the kind of community that welcomes everyone with open arms, that, maybe it's difficult to talk to people about this sort of stuff in your life. And I totally get it. So everyone, in that position or not, is welcome here. We unfortunately have the ability to see through the nonsense, to see through the propaganda, and we've got to be able to find each other. And it's not the easiest thing in the world, but you can help grow the community by hitting the like, share, subscribe, follow, all of these things, getting it out to as many people as possible, and making sure to join for the next show. The next show, if I can do one this weekend, I will. No promises, but next Monday will be the next show, guaranteed. I will make Monday's show no matter what. So on that note, once again, I would like to thank all of you for tuning in. It was a great conversation tonight. I had a whole lot of fun. Make sure and tune in to the next episode. Also, I will be over on JJ's channel tomorrow night with JJ and Dana. So make sure and go check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I think on that, we're out of here. So until next time, stay free, my friends.